Chapter 1087. Mama Chin, your heart isn't very good, and your blood pressure is high. Don't get too agitated. Song Yisher immediately put down the tissue in her hand and came over to comfort Lady Chin. Sure, is what you said true? I've been good to you and this is a big family matter. You can't lie to me. Lady Chin looked at Song Yisher seriously and questioned her with an ugly expression. Mama Chin, the video can't be faked. It recorded what really happened. Also, a lot of people were at the Wei family's wedding. I wasn't the only one who saw it. The media also recorded it. You can verify it yourself, Song Yisher explained gently. Lady Chin was immediately annoyed. Okay, I understand. Sure, your car broke down. I'll ask my driver to take you home first. No need, Mama Chin. My dad sent someone to pick me up. I mainly wanted to wait for you here and tell you these things. After all, I don't want you to be like an idiot and be kept in the dark by some scheming woman. I understand. I'll take care of it. Thank you for telling me. Mrs. Chin replied with an unpleasant expression on her face. Song Yisher saw the opportunity and placed her hand on Lady Chin's shoulder. Mama Chin, you have to take care of yourself. Don't get angry at people who don't deserve it. If you need any help, remember to call me. Your business is my business. I know. Lady Chin nodded. Then, Lady Chin left the cafe in exhaustion. Song Yisher got into her black Bentley and left. Then, she picked up her phone. You guys wait for me at the club. I'll treat you guys to drinks tonight. Song Yisher seemed to be in a good mood. Meanwhile, Wei Liao's mansion was brightly lit. After the wedding, it was time for the most annoying part of the night. The wedding night, many of the rich second-generation young masters knew that Dr. Jiang was too fierce, so they did not dare to go too far. In the end, they pushed Su Yu and Tang Chuan out. Tang Chuan got an apple from somewhere and tied it with a string. Let the bride and groom take a bite. Later, apples were replaced with kumquats and then red dates. Jiang Shaowei was so angry that she scolded. Why don't you just change it to some melon seeds and sesame seeds? Good idea. Tang Chuan grinned. Good my ass. You're toying with me now? Am I not planning to get married? When the time comes, don't blame me for paying you back double. Wei Liao cursed angrily. It's okay. When I get married, you won't be able to disturb my wedding night. You're already married. You're an uncle, not a young man. Haha. Tang Chuan was proud of himself. Then I can let Lord Su take revenge for me. Wei Liao looked at Su Yu. Our Lord Su might get married before me. When the time comes, he'll also be an uncle. Perfect. Tang Chuan teased. The atmosphere was very good for the whole night, but Su Yu was not in a good mood. Compared to the past, he was a little out of it. What's wrong? Lord Su? Tang Chuan asked while others were messing with the bride and groom. Nothing, Su Yu replied absent-mindedly. Ha! Don't tell me you're still immersed in that cool forehand duet from today? You're thinking about Hua Min? Go away. Su Yu was unwilling to admit his thoughts. That's not easy. I'll help you choose a girl who looks similar to Hua Min. Then go to Korea for plastic surgery. I guarantee that she'll be 10 times prettier than Hua Min. When the time comes, you can just jump on her and have fun. Young Master Su let out a long sigh and uttered the most poetic sentence he had ever uttered in his life. He said, if you've seen the sea, you can't call it water. If you're not on Mount Wu, you can't call it a cloud. Damn. What do you mean? What cloud and what water? A woman with more water is indeed comfortable. Tang Chuan continued to make dirty jokes. Su Yu glanced at him in disdain. Go away, go away. Don't say that you know me when you go out. So you felt that he was a pervert. Tang Chuan was even ruder than him. Wei Liao came over and secretly asked Su Yu mysteriously, I heard that you went on 4 blind dates in the last 5 days. How was it? Did you get any results? Chapter 1088. Oh, you're well informed. It seems like marriage didn't make you confused. You still know how to care about me? So you looked at Wei Liao amused. Of course, with our friendship, how can I not care about your marriage? Am I still human then? Tell me, how is it? Is there a reliable one? What do you think? Su Yu rolled his eyes. Lord Su, it's not that I want to nag at you. but you still have to find someone. We can't be single forever. Also, remember, don't look at Hua Min's standards. Wei Liao gave advice. Why? Su Yu looked at him, not quite understanding, because if you look at Hua Min's standards, you probably won't find anyone in your lifetime. You know how weird Hua Min is? Her looks can't be changed, but her personality can't be imitated. Her IQ can't be improved. You're quite insightful, so you looked at Wei Liao and chuckled. I'm doing this for your own good. What I mean is, if we really can't find a wife, let's find a beautiful, sensible, gentle, virtuous, generous, cheerful, beautiful, filial, and aristocratic. Look, how good is that? You'll be able to keep up appearances. Wei Liao advised. Ever since Wei Liao got together with Jiang Xiaowei, he had more contact with Hua Min than before. But the more contact he had, the more he understood one thing. Hua Min was also stubborn. She cared a lot about Qin Chu, and she could even risk her life for him. Her relationship with Qin Chu was unbreakable. It wasn't something that Lord Su could get just because he wanted it. Rather than yearning bitterly, it was better to let go. But the problem was that Su Yu couldn't let go. He was shocked by Hua Min's persistence. It was as if he was possessed. What you said makes sense. Su Yu nodded. Wei Liao was pleasantly surprised that Lord Su's attitude had changed. Su Yu continued, but I'm not interested in what you said. Wei Liao was speechless. After talking for so long, he tried his best to persuade her. Turned out that it was all in vain. Lord Su was simply impervious to everything. Groom, come and save us. Your wife is going crazy. The group of second-generation rich kids laughed and teased. They saw Jiang Xiaowei holding an inflatable hammer and fiercely hammering at the group of guys. Among them, Tang Chuan was the most seriously injured. Aya, sister-in-law. Don't hit him. You're not playing whack-a-mole. Why is there no end to it? Tang Chuan fled in all directions while Jiang Xiaowei chased after him relentlessly. Making a scene in the bridal room was really lively. It was a pity that Hua Min wasn't here. Otherwise, it would have been even more fun. Basically, the things that she came up with in her head were the kind that would kill people. After Wei Liao went over, Su Yu took out a can of Coke from the fridge alone and slowly drank it. He took out his phone and inadvertently scrolled through the screen. He found that Hua Min's Weibo had updated in 5 seconds. It was a photo of the wedding scene. All 9 were beautiful photos of Jiang Xiaowei. The last one was a selfie of her and Jiang Xiaowei in the lounge. Although Hua Min didn't wear such exquisite makeup, her aura didn't lose to Xiaowei's. Actually, there were such people in this world. They weren't devastatingly beautiful, but they could make you give everything you had. And to Su Yu, Hua Min was such a person. In the photo, Hua Min and Jiang Xiaowei were both smiling. The two of them were face to face, and it was obvious that they were very close. Hua Min was different from Song Yisher. She wouldn't say so much in front of her fans. She only added a few words in the photo. She said, "Time doesn't grow old, we won't part." These words were enough to express her friendship with Jiang Xiaowei. So you really wanted to like the photo, but he was afraid that others would misunderstand. So he resisted the impulse. Instead, he stared at the smiling Hua Min in the photo for a long time. His gaze was like that of a young man who had just fallen in love. It was so sincere and so pure. At South Hill Manor, after posting on Weibo, Hua Min was about to sleep in a daze. Suddenly, she received a WeChat message. Ding! She immediately woke up and picked up her phone. Chapter 1089. Hey girl, are you still alive? Hua Mian knew that it was from Zhu Lingling just by looking at the funny message. After Qin Chu took Hua Min away at the wedding, she and Gao Ran discussed it for a long time. She didn't know how Mr. Qin would deal with Hua Min. So, after thinking about it, she decided to ask. Her tone was a little funny. Lingling, I'm already at the bridge of forgetfulness. Can you come down and keep me company? Hua Min was even more heartless than her and replied with this sentence. Hello. Goodbye. Zhu Lingling was so scared that she immediately said goodbye. Then, Zhu Lingling sent another message, ha ha ha. Let's stop joking around. Tell me the truth. Did Mr. Qin do anything to you? You two heartless bastards, how dare you ask? If I wasn't your bridesmaid, Would this have happened? Huamin replied angrily. Ha! Who doesn't know that Mr. Qin loves you? I can tell from your tone that you're fine. You even have the time to talk nonsense with me, so nothing happened. Mr. Qin was just bluffing, so I'm relieved. Do you want to talk to me again if you keep doing this? Huh? You two are so dishonest. I won't even believe punctuation when you talk to me again. Huamin teased her on purpose. Ha ha ha, don't be like this, we still have to play. After all, we only have one smart little friend. Zhu Lingling chuckled. Okay, you're in love right now, so you only care about the police. You won't care about your smart little friend. I understand, we both care about the opposite sex. Hey, you sound so sour. Don't forget how you and Mr. Qin used to torture single people. You guys are the classic example of a well-fed man not knowing the suffering of a starving man, Zhu Lingling said. So you were desperate and chose Gao Ran. Zhu Lingling, ha ha ha. I'm gonna tell Gao Ran that you're bad-mouthing him. Whatever. Whether it's money, looks, or IQ, your police officer is no match for him. Our Mr. Qin is definitely better. Stop being so cocky. You're using Mr. Qin's name to bully us commoners. Aren't you? Zhu Lingling sent a disdainful emoji. Because she replied with a voice message, Qin Chu heard it clearly. He turned his head to look at Huamin and raised the corner of his mouth slightly. If you want to chat like this, I'll still like you very much, honey. Huamin chuckled. Sure enough, flattery would always work. It turned out that the cold and arrogant Mr. Qin also liked to hear compliments. Just then, Lingling sent him another WeChat message. It was a text that opened it. She wrote, Girl, it's already winter in the north. Do you want to go shopping together after work tomorrow? I want to buy a white ferret. Ferret was not only warm but also beautiful. Many movie stars wore it, and Song Yisher loved it as well. Winter in Italy was cold, and she had more than 10 ferret coats in her wardrobe. There were long and short ones, popular ones, and popular ones. No, I'm fine with a cotton-padded jacket. When it gets colder, I have a down jacket. Huamin directly refused. Cotton-padded jackets are so old-fashioned. Ferret coats are so beautiful. But ferret coats are built on the basis of cruel killing. Do you know how many ferrets are needed to make a beautiful ferret coat? Huamin asked seriously. Zhu Lingling, do you know that in order to make a ferret coat beautiful, the ferrets aren't killed directly? Instead, they are flayed alive? Zhu Lingling, do you know that when the adult ferrets are flung to death, the ferrets watch their mother fall to death from the cage? Chapter 1090. Zhu Lingling was speechless. Actually, minks are very pitiful animals, especially those that are farmed. They are born to wait for death, to be skinned and made into coats. I saw a picture before of a little mink wearing a mink coat and calling for its mother. At that moment, I swore that I would never wear a mink coat in my life, because the price of beauty is too bloody and cruel. There are many materials that can keep people warm. Why do they have to be so cruel? Huamin said word by word. Girl, I didn't know before, but after hearing what you said, I don't have any desire to buy it anymore. If there's no business, then there's no killing. The little mink is so pitiful. I will never wear a mink coat in the future. Zhu Lingling heard Huamin's words and felt very guilty. Lingling, you might think that I'm a Mary Sue, but I actually want to say that when I chose to be a doctor, it was because I wanted to always respect life. I really can't face the cruelty behind the price of beauty, but I won't persuade you because you also have the right to choose. I know if I knew that, I would have given up on this idea a long time ago. Zhu Lingling replied. After talking to Lingling, it was already past 11 o'clock at night. Huamin lay in Qin Chu's arms and fell asleep. The next morning, around 6 o'clock, she went downstairs to have breakfast. She saw Lady Qin walking in aggressively. Mom, why are you here so early? Qin Chu was also very surprised to see his mother. I'm definitely here for something. After Lady Qin finished speaking, she glanced at them. Have you eaten? Uncle Li, bring me another set of tableware. Qin Chu ordered. No need, I'm not eating. I have something important to say. Go ahead. Huamin saw that Lady Qin was staring at him in an unfriendly manner, so it must have something to do with him. Lady Qin took out her phone, opened a video, and slammed it on the table. Here, take a good look. Is this you? Lady Qin asked. Huamin took a look at his phone and nodded calmly. It's me. Qin Chu picked up the phone and looked at it. Then he asked, What's wrong? Mother, is there a problem? You're actually asking me if there's a problem? Your wife is playing a duet with another man right now. Do you know that? I know. She's the bridesmaid, and the bride is her good friend. The MC asked them to perform that day. The four of them performed together. The bride and groom sang, and the best man and bridesmaid played the piano. Qin Chu explained. Is it really as simple as the best man and the bridesmaid? Huamin, do you know Suyu? I do. Huamin nodded. Then what's your relationship with him? Lady Qin asked with an unpleasant expression. Huamin put down the milk in her hand and said slowly, Actually, it's funny that you're asking such a question. What relationship could there be between us? If there really was something, I would be Mrs. Su right now, not Mrs. Qin. Before Lady Qin could speak, she continued, So please don't say that I'm with Qin Chu for money, because in terms of family power, the Su family should be more powerful. Also, I'm willing to sacrifice my life to live and die with Qin Chu. You should see everything clearly. So, I don't understand why you're asking such a boring question again. Perhaps you've been bewitched by someone with ulterior motives. Huamin's words were all important. She didn't want to continue arguing with Lady Qin. But you can't disregard the Qin family's reputation. Lady Qin was obviously not convinced. Mom, I know that she's the bridesmaid, and I know that she's playing the piano. Mian has discussed everything with me. She didn't disregard the Qin family's reputation. Think about it, if there really was something between them, why would she play the piano in public? Wouldn't it be safer for them to meet in private? After Qin Chu finished speaking, Lady Qin suddenly felt that her son's words made sense. So, did Song Yisher send you this video? Huamin glanced at Lady Qin's face and asked, How did you know? She was quite surprised that Huamin guessed correctly. Chapter 1091. Other than her, no one else would snitch on you. Huamin wiped his hands with a tissue and handed over Qin Chu's phone. Take a look. She sent the video to Qin Chu yesterday afternoon. Later, Qin Chu was in a meeting and didn't have time to talk to her, so he blocked her. So I guess that she sent it to you. It's normal, this is how Song Yisher does things. Huamin smiled. Huamin wasn't surprised that Song Yisher snitched on him and tried to drive a wedge between him and Qin Chu. It would be strange if she suddenly calmed down one day and didn't do anything. This was because Huamin already knew that Song Yisher was the type of person who couldn't stand others doing well and liked to drive a wedge between them. However, she was smart and knew how to disguise herself. So many people were kept in the dark. Luckily, Mr. Song Yisher was smart and never let her suffer any grievances because of Song Yisher. In her own words, Mr. Qin didn't even believe the punctuation marks that came out of Song Yisher's mouth. Not to mention that he had blocked her. Chu, you blocked Shershur? Lady Qin seemed a little surprised. Yeah, Qin Chu nodded calmly. Why? Lady Qin felt that her son had gone a little overboard. After all, she was Mayor Song's daughter. There was an old saying, even if you don't respect the monk, respect the Buddha. However, Qin Chu didn't respect anyone and decisively blocked her. Because she's too fake. I don't like her, Qin Chu replied calmly. But, she said that she's always been close to you. She's also friends with Huamin. Lady Qin found it hard to accept. The contrast was too big. So, don't believe anything she says in the future. She's a woman who spends her life lying. Qin Chu gave her a piece of advice. What about the video? Lady Qin was still thinking about the video. There's nothing I can do if you don't trust me. But I'll contact you to go home and think about the cause and effect of the matter. Because lies can't stand up to scrutiny, framing people is also a skill, and it's inevitable that there will be loopholes. Huamin smiled. Lady Qin stood there stupidly. Huamin glanced at Qin Chu. Honey, I'm going to work. Do you want to come with me? Qin Chu nodded. Mom, we're going to work. You should go back. In the future, don't believe what others say. Think about it carefully. I'm very satisfied with my current life. I don't want any unhappiness to happen at home. I also believe that you're a smart person and won't be ordered around by others. After that, Qin Chu patted his mother on the shoulder. Then, she held Huamin's hand and walked out of the castle. Old madam, do you want breakfast? I'll get someone to prepare it. Uncle Li asked respectfully. I'm not eating. Old Li, come sit down. I have something to ask you, Lady Qin said with a serious expression. Go ahead, old madam. How is Mr. and Mrs. Qin's relationship? Very good, Uncle Li replied. Does she come back every night? Does Mrs. Qin come back regularly? Lady Qin asked again. Uncle Li nodded. Ever since Mr. Qin sold the house in Imperial Park, he's been coming back every night. Mrs. Qin's schedule is very regular. She comes back on time for work and off with Mr. Qin. Sometimes they even invite friends over for dinner. They're very close and I've never seen them fight or get angry. What you said is true, right? Lady Qin looked at Uncle Li in confusion. Old madam, if you don't believe me, you can watch the surveillance videos. Mrs. Qin comes back at the same time every day and goes out with Mr. Qin. I've lived for a long time, so I can tell. Fake love is different from real love. Then, about the party last time, Lady Qin suddenly remembered that Song Yisher had cried and complained that Huamin had bullied her. Since she was here today, why didn't she ask about it? She chatted with Uncle Li for almost 2 hours. When they left South Hill Manor in the car, Lady Qin's expression was serious. She never thought that she would treat Song Yisher so well. Yet she treated her like a fool. She almost never told the truth. Luckily, there was no big fight this time. Otherwise, she would misunderstand Huamin again. At this thought, Lady Qin picked up her phone and dialed Huamin's number. Huamin had just finished his morning meeting and was walking to his office. When he saw Lady Qin calling, he hesitated for a moment before picking up. Chapter 1092. Hello, Huamin said. Huamin, I'm Qin Chu's mother. The old lady sounded uncomfortable. Yes, how can I help you? I was too impulsive this morning. I just talked to Old Li. We've known each other for years, so I know what kind of person he is. You were right, I trusted Song Yisher too much. I'm glad you understand, Huamin said calmly. Although he didn't really like Qin Chu's mother, she was still Qin Chu's mother. However, since she was Qin Chu's biological mother, Huamian didn't want to give her a hard time. I hope you don't mind, Lady Qin said shyly. Don't worry, I don't mind. Also, I want to thank you for Qin Chu's surgery. You didn't leave him when he was in danger. I believe there's nothing going on between you and young Master Su. There's nothing going on between us. I'm glad you believe me, Huamin replied faintly. Come back for dinner this weekend, you two. Lady Qin invited Huamin for the first time. Okay, we'll come back when we're free. Huamin didn't want to embarrass the old lady and nodded. Then, Huamin walked into his office. Chief Hua, this is the receipt from the HR department. Your application for a nurse in your department wasn't approved. The assistant handed the receipt to Huamin. It wasn't approved? That's impossible. Huamin thought that his assistant's qualifications were more than enough for her to be promoted. Although Chun Jie wasn't very beautiful, she was definitely skilled. There weren't many people at Southside who were more hardworking than her. Huamin lowered his head and looked at the reason for the rejection. It said that she hadn't been in the department for long. Huamin frowned slightly. Assistant Shin, who gave you this receipt? The head of the HR department gave it. The promotion was approved by the HR department. Human Resources Department? Didn't I write a recommendation letter to the dean? Huamin was slightly stunned. It's useless. The director is very busy every day. He won't care about these things personally. The director's assistant has already left the documents in the Human Resources Department. Huamin continued to ask. Then, does the vice principal not care? The deputy director was originally in charge of it, but now that he is in another place for the medical conference, he handed it over to the Human Resources Department to handle. Oh, I see. Huamin nodded. Department Director Hua. Is there a problem? I can help you report it to the vice dean, the assistant said. It's fine. I can handle it myself. Huamin nodded and smiled. Then he took the receipt and sat on the chair in the office. There were fewer shady dealings in the Southern District than before, but that didn't mean there weren't any. Many doctors knew that interns did not rely on their abilities to become permanent nurses, but on the number of gifts and connections they received. If he was a relative of a department leader, it was basically a done deal. If he was an ordinary person without money and connections, he or she would never be promoted. Huamin was promoted because he performed an outstanding surgery and was directly promoted by President Wu. She originally thought that Chen Jie would definitely be promoted. However, she was rejected. When she chatted with her colleagues in the department, she found out that there were a total of 5 nurses who were promoted this time. They were all from other departments, and their performance was average. What was even more ridiculous was that one of them had only been promoted for less than 3 months. Chen Jie had been here for more than a year, but she was rejected because she had only been here for a short time. This was truly ironic. Chief, there are 2 patients who booked your appointment this afternoon. I've arranged for them to be at 2:30 and 3 o'clock p.m. Is that okay? Chen Jie asked carefully. Sure. Little Jie, come in first. Huamin waved his hand and asked Chen Jie to come in. Huamin handed her the receipt. She glanced at it and smiled. I knew I wouldn't be chosen. After all, I didn't perform well. Little Jie, do you believe in yourself? Huamin suddenly asked. I do. It took a lot of effort for Chen Jie to make up her mind. Then, do you believe in me? Huamin asked again. Chapter 1093. Chief, I believe you, but I really don't want to be promoted. Like I said before, I don't want to trouble you. I know what kind of person I am, Chen Jie said slowly. I only know that you're excellent. Wait for me. Huamin picked up the receipt and walked out of the office. Chief, Chen Jie looked at Huamin worriedly from behind. She knew that Chief Hua was a legend and that she was honored to be her assistant. However, she really didn't want to be promoted. After all, she was born in the countryside and wasn't very talented. Therefore, she didn't dare to ask for things that didn't belong to her. However, she didn't think that Huamin would care so much about this matter. Huamian put on her white lab coat and went straight to the HR department with the receipt in her hand. She rarely interacted with the HR department because her promotions were all decided by President Wu and didn't go through the HR review. Huamin's story was very inspirational and became a legend at Southside. Many young nurses admired her. Is Chief Chow here? Huamin knocked on the door. Wow, is it Master Hua? One of the HR employees looked at Huamin in surprise. Chief Chow is inside, another employee said. Huamin nodded and walked in. The door to the chief's office was open. Inside, a woman in her 40s was sleeping on the desk. Huamin looked at her watch. It was already time to go to work. She wondered why the HR department was in such a state. She knocked on the door rudely. It was very loud and seemed to wake up the sleeping woman. She reluctantly got up and looked at Huamin without saying a word. Is this Chief Chow? What is it? Her attitude was obviously not friendly. I'm Huamin from the neurology department. Why are you looking for me? The woman asked unhappily. I recommended my assistant to be promoted, but you didn't approve it. Huamin looked at her and said word by word. Isn't that normal? Every month, there are dozens of people who want to be promoted, but only a few can be promoted? I understand that, but your reason for rejecting her is that she hasn't been working for long. As far as I know, my assistant has been working at Southside for more than a year. That's not considered short. So what? The old woman from the Human Resources Department had an annoying look on her face. Nothing. I just want to ask you why you didn't approve it. Not qualified. The old woman yawned and replied impatiently. Huamin asked with a smile. Then why did the one who had been in the OBGYN department for less than 3 months pass? When the old woman heard Huamin's words, she seemed to be very unhappy. Because he performed well? Is that so? But I've seen the assessment records. He's no better than my assistant. Then there must be other reasons. Anyway, Our department's decision has nothing to do with you. Is it because of the gift? Huamin continued to ask. The old woman couldn't hold back her pride anymore. She yelled, Department Director Hua, what do you mean by that? Are you here to cause trouble? Who we promote and who we eliminate has nothing to do with you. It's not up to you to decide. Don't cause trouble just because your assistant didn't get in. That's not befitting of your identity as a chief physician. Of course I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to seek justice. You know the truth. I'll call President Wu in a bit and ask him to investigate this matter thoroughly. I want to see if my assistant wasn't qualified, or if you purposely gave the opportunity to the newcomer. I think President Wu is so smart that he'll know what happened. Chief Chow didn't expect Huamin to be so arrogant. He actually went to look for President Wu over a nurse's promotion. Her face immediately turned pale. Chapter 1094. Director Chow didn't expect the usually easygoing Huamian to be so fierce and fierce. Every word she said hit the nail on the head. The truth was, President Wu wasn't in charge of nurses becoming permanent employees, but if someone really wanted to report it to the director for an investigation, then things would get complicated. After all, she did receive a lot of benefits. Ahem. Chief Hua, have a seat. Let's talk slowly, there's no rush. It's okay, we're all busy. I'm just here to get to the bottom of this. If I can't get a satisfactory answer, then I'll ask President Wu. With that, Huamin turned to leave. Chief Chow was so scared that he immediately stood up. Wait, Chief Hua. Chief Chow, what's the matter? Huamin asked. Even though she already knew the answer, Chief Hua, actually, the nurse in your department is pretty good. I was going to transfer her to the next batch because there aren't many spots left. But I just remembered that there's still one spot that hasn't been used yet, so I'll give it to her. Haha. Huamin purposely said awkwardly, I don't think that's a good idea. After all, she hasn't been in the department for long. It's not that short, I misremembered the time. Haha. I'm so busy that I'm dizzy. I hope you don't mind, Chief Hua. But she's not experienced enough, right? Huamin purposely asked. How is that not enough? How could Chief Li and Chief Hua have any bad employees? Haha, Chief Hua, that's it, I'll give the last spot to your assistant, Qinjie. Then, don't bother President Wu, okay? We're all busy, Chief Chow said implicitly. Huamin immediately understood. She nodded. If that's the case, thank you very much. No, you're welcome, Chief Hua. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. After thanking Huamin profusely and sending her off, Chief Chow finally let out a sigh of relief. Huamin was like a living ancestor. What a scary woman. The truth was, Huamin didn't need to deal with the HR chief at all. She could have just asked President Wu for help. But she wouldn't do that. Where it was possible to make mistakes, she would forgive them. She wouldn't force people into a dead end or push them too far. It was the same for anyone else. She was not Lei Feng, so she would not fight for justice and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. What she needed to do was to not let her own people suffer. She didn't care if what Chief Chow said about the last spot was true or not, but she knew that Qinjie would definitely get it. He had to fight for what he had to fight for. He couldn't be arrogant, but he couldn't be too arrogant either. This was Huamin. Regardless of whether others liked her or not, she would always have her own way of doing things and her own set of survival rules. After receiving 2 patients in the afternoon, she was busy for a while and got off work. Before she could call Qin Chu, she saw him coming. Hubby, why are you at the hospital? I'm here to pick you up. Let's go to a banquet, Qin Chu said. Is it a social gathering? You can say that. It's a high-end private cocktail party, but you know the boss. Who? Rick? Qin Chu said simply, the owner of Seductive Fox? Huamin was slightly taken aback. The Rick family has connections in both the government and the underworld. Today is Seductive Fox's year-end thank you banquet, so I'm sure a lot of celebrities will be there. Then I'll get ready right now. Huamin left the hospital and got into Qin Chu's car. She didn't like makeup, so she only changed into the coffee-colored dress that Qin Chu brought for her. It was a cute and dignified coffee-colored mini dress. As soon as the two arrived at the hotel, they were surrounded by reporters who were taking photos. In front of everyone, Qin Chu tightly hugged Hua Min's waist. President Qin, there's news that Lady Qin is pregnant. Is this true? After hearing this question, Hua Min felt a little awkward. Chapter 1095. Qin Chu replied faintly, if there's good news, I'll let everyone know. Thank you. Then, he pushed through the crowd and walked in with Hua Min with his arm around her. He didn't want those people to threaten her or make things difficult for her. You're here. Rick was wearing a long black tuxedo, looking extraordinarily handsome. However, because he was too cold, he wasn't warm to anyone. Hua Min thought that he smiled even less than Qin Chu. What a joke. In this city, the only person that Rick had a good relationship with was Qin Chu. Therefore, when he saw Hua Min and Qin Chu arrive, he immediately went over to greet them. We're not late, are we? Qin Chu asked with a smile. Of course not. Then, Rick and Qin Chu chatted on the side, while Hua Min sipped on a glass of juice out of boredom. He wondered if Xiao Wei and the others would come to an event like this. Just as he finished speaking, he saw Su Yu and Tang Chuan walk in. Wei Liao also came, but Jiang Xiaowei was nowhere to be seen. They seemed to have seen Hua Min as well, so they walked over to greet him. Hey! Wei Liao was the first to speak. Xiaowei didn't come? Hua Min asked. She's been sleepy lately. I don't know why, but she can fall asleep while eating. She doesn't like to go out. Wei Liao scratched the back of his head, looking confused. Hua Min chuckled when he heard this. What are you laughing at? Wei Liao was confused. It's normal for her to be pregnant. You really need to buy a book to learn more. Oh right, there's something important that I need to tell you. Hua Min suddenly thought of something. What is it? Wei Liao looked at her confusedly. Come here, I'll tell you in private. It's not convenient for others to know. Hua Min gestured with her finger and said mysteriously. Wei Liao obediently walked over. Tang Chuan expressed his interest and wanted to eavesdrop, but he had just taken 2 steps when Su Yu grabbed him by the collar and pulled him back. Lord Su, what are you doing? Even if you're biased towards Hua Min, you don't have to be so obvious and use your brother as an example, do you? They're chatting alone. Why are you butting in? Su Yu rolled his eyes at him. After Wei Liao walked over alone, he heard Hua Min say in a low voice, in the first 3 months of Xiao Wei's pregnancy, we can't, Wei Liao suddenly felt awkward. You'll have a miscarriage. It's really serious. You can do it in the middle stage, but you can't do it too vigorously. You can't do it in the last 3 months either. Wei Liao didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw how serious Nian Nian was. What are you laughing at? Do you remember it? It's true. I'm not trying to scare you, Hua Min reminded him. Got it, Dr. Hua. Wei Liao smiled. Okay, I'll leave first then. After giving his instructions, Hua Min turned around and went to look for Qin Chu. Wei Liao didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he returned to Lord Su's side. Hurry up and tell me. What did Hua Min and you conspire? Tang Chuan gossiped. Conspire your ass. Dr. Hua is very professional. He taught me some professional knowledge. Wei Liao smiled. Then, he meaningfully patted Su Yu's shoulder and slowly said, Lord Su, I know why you like Hua Min this afternoon. Why? Su Yu was confused. Because she's just too fucking cute? After saying that, Wei Liao laughed out loud. When he thought about how Hua Min had seriously told him about sex, he was about to flip over. She was clearly a 24-year-old girl, but she pretended to be an old expert. She was so long-winded. It was too funny. Su Yu was speechless. So, did Hua Min call you over to tell you a joke? So you didn't understand what Hua Min said to him that made him laugh like crazy? No, Hua Min, she told me that she's slightly pregnant. She can't be too intense. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God. I'm dying of laughter. Tang Chuan immediately laughed until he was swaying back and forth. Su Yu suddenly sweated. Isn't that obvious? Who would ravage a pregnant woman? So you also thought that Hua Min was unbelievably cute sometimes. Hua Min originally wanted to find Su Yu, but on the way, he unexpectedly ran into Hua Xiqian. Hey, little sister Mion. I haven't seen you in a few days. I've missed you. Hwasichin always had the guts to tease him. He was wearing a gray suit and looked very energetic. His female companion wasn't Emoshwe but a big-breasted girl that he had never seen before. Chapter 1096. What a coincidence. I don't miss you at all. Hwamion looked into Hwasichin's eyes and said word by word. Ha! It's okay. As long as I miss you. Hwasichin seemed to have endless patience for Hwamin. Has the old man been looking for you lately? No. Hwamin replied. Oh, then I guess it'll be soon. Hwasichin took a sip of champagne and said slowly. What? You've already started? Smart. I already said I like you. Who wouldn't like such a smart sister? Hwasichin looked at Hwamin with a smile. Okay, I won't waste time with you. Although Hwamin didn't dislike Hwasichin as much as before, he still felt a little guarded and didn't want to talk too much. Hwashao. A young lady Chin is your sister. No. Hwasichin replied nonchalantly. I heard that she's involved with Suyu. The big-breasted girl said. You saw it? Hwasichin turned his head, his eyes sharp. No, I heard it from someone else, the big-breasted girl explained. Oh, really? I also heard that your breasts are made of silicone. How is that possible? My breasts are real. The woman purposely puffed out her chest as if to prove something to Hwasichin. Yes, that's why what you see with your eyes is real. Don't always listen to other people. Hwasichin seemed a little annoyed. Who dared to say bad things about Hwamin in front of him? He would make life difficult for anyone. The big-breasted girl immediately shut up after hearing Suyu's words. Hwasichin didn't want to talk to her and turned to walk in the other direction. On the other side was Song Isher in a long black gown. She wore a white mink shawl and looked extremely luxurious. She held Mayor Song's wrist, and the father and daughter immediately became the center of attention as soon as they walked in. The media surrounded them, interviewing them and taking photos. Song Isher always had an elegant smile when she was in front of the camera, but her face would darken as soon as the lights couldn't reach her. After being photographed by the media, Mayor Song chatted with some celebrities. Song Isher took a glass of red wine and looked around, as if looking for someone. Are you looking for me, Miss Song? Hwasichin smiled. What a coincidence, President Hwa. Song Isher was very distant from Hwasichin. Maybe it was because of an unpleasant conversation from before. Song Isher did not have a good impression of Hwasichin. She finally saw Chin Chu's figure and was about to go over. Hwasichin stopped her. Miss Song, I heard that you started an art school. Congratulations, let's have a drink. Song Isher was in a hurry to see Chin Chu, so she could only raise her glass. However, when she clinked glasses with Hwasichin lost his grip and spilled red wine all over her. The black gown didn't matter. Couldn't he tell? However, the white mink fur was dyed red. Song Isher was instantly flustered and exasperated. Oh, look at me. I'm so embarrassed. I get nervous when I see a beauty. I'm so sorry, Miss Song. Hwasichin apologized with a smile. Song Isher wanted to flip out, but there were too many people and media. Therefore, she could only grit her teeth and reply, You're welcome. However, looking at her eyes, she really wanted to kill Hwasichin. He obviously did it on purpose. Who would believe that his hand was trembling? Song Isher had no choice but to go to the lounge to change. Hwasichin looked at everyone with a smile and drank a little wine. He was in a particularly good mood today. Hwamin sat quietly in a corner. She didn't like to socialize, but she didn't want to ruin the atmosphere. She just wanted to quietly wait for Chin Chu. However, she didn't expect to see a shocking scene. A few socialites surrounded him, including Hua Yanyan. However, she didn't seem to be welcomed. Young Master Shen, let's have a drink together, Hua Yanyan said. Before he could say anything, a socialite scolded her. Why don't you take a look at yourself? You want to chase young Master Shen? Do you have any shame? Don't you know who you are? Everyone in our circle knows that your mother had an affair and gave birth to your brother. Didn't your father test your blood type? Don't tell me he's raising his daughter for his neighbor. After the socialite said this, everyone burst into laughter. Hui Yanyan stood there like an idiot. She held back her tears but didn't dare to say anything. Chapter 1097. Ever since Xinjiani's scandal was exposed, Hu Zhenghai's attitude towards Hui Yanyan had worsened. Hui Yanyan basically had full control over her money, and Hu Xiqian had taken advantage of her before. Xinjiani and her children lost all of their savings, so Hui Yanyan was no longer the arrogant girl she used to be. Instead, she suddenly became a downtrodden rich girl. She was still able to survive in this industry mostly because her last name was Hua. Her crazy pursuit of Shin Mingxi was treated as a joke by the people in the industry. Although Hu Min didn't like Hui Yanyan, she was still annoyed to see her being treated like a dog in this kind of situation. What she hated the most in her life were people who kicked people when they were down. When Hui Yanyan was doing well, she had friends everywhere and spent tons of money to treat them to food and drinks. Now that she was down, everyone stepped on her. What a snobbish person. Hui Yanyan was well aware of her identity. She was no longer the brainless idiot she used to be, so she didn't dare to say anything when people made fun of her. She was afraid of offending people she couldn't afford to offend. However, she really liked Shin Mingxi. Previously, she tried to hit on Suyu mostly because of Suyu's power and wealth in the city, as well as his huge influence. However, Hui Yanyan really liked Shin Mingxi. Otherwise, she wouldn't have risked being laughed at by everyone to get close to him. Hu Min couldn't stand it anymore. She slammed the champagne in her hand on the table and walked over with a smile. Yanyan, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Hu Min intimately held Hui Yanyan's hand. She turned around and was flattered to see Hu Min. Lady Qin, when the socialites saw Hu Min walk over, they all stepped back and nodded to greet her. Hu Min glanced at their faces one by one, smiling without saying anything. Then, she walked up to Shin Mingxi and said, Yanyan admires young Master Shin very much. Would you do me the honor of having a drink with her? Shin Mingxi didn't know Hu Min, but he knew she was the woman Suyu liked, so he glanced at her silently. She actually gave him face and raised the wine glass in her hand. Miss Hua, the usually stoic young Master Shin, raised his glass. Hui Yanyan was pleasantly surprised and even a little stunned. Yanyan, young Master Shin is talking to you, Hu Min reminded her. I. Hui Yanyan didn't say a word for half a year. In the end, it was Hu Min who reminded her. She then raised her glass and took a sip with Shin Mingxi. Young Master Shin, my name is Hui Yanyan. Hui Yanyan stuttered as she introduced herself. Shin Mingxi nodded, indicating that he understood, but his expression was indifferent. Thank you, young Master Shin. I'll leave you to your work. I'll talk to you later, Hu Min said with a smile. Then he dragged Hui Yanyan away. The socialites discussed among themselves strangely. That's weird. I thought Hu Min and Hui Yanyan weren't on good terms. Why would he help her? Is it because Hui Yanyan gave all her shares to Hu Min? So they're back together? I don't know, but no matter how bad things are between them, they're still family. You can't write two Hua characters in one stroke, so let's be careful with what we say next time. Hui Yanyan is done for, but Hu Min is really something. That woman isn't someone we can mess with. I heard that even Mayor Song's daughter can't beat her. Shin Mingxi wasn't interested in the fights between socialites. He was more interested in what kind of person Hu Min was. How did someone as arrogant as Suyu fall head over heels in love with her? Why didn't she give up on him even though she knew he was married? This was a question that was worth pondering over. Hu Min, thank you for what you did, Hui Yanyan said in a low voice as she bit her lip. Chapter 1098. You don't have to be so polite with me. I don't want to help you. I just don't like the way those people act, Hu Min said calmly. Hui Yanyan smiled bitterly and said in a low voice, ever since my mom's accident, I've gotten used to it. They're all the same. If you have money and power, they'll play with you. If you don't, you deserve to be stepped on. So you're going to marry into a rich family to turn your life around? Hu Min asked. Hui Yanyan shook her head. I had this idea in the beginning. That's why I pestered Suyu. I knew Suyu wouldn't even look at me, but I still clung to him like glue. At that time, I wanted to use the Su family to turn my life around. It's not that I didn't want to avenge myself, but later, I figured out something. What is it? It's just that once a relationship is involved with benefits, it's actually quite meaningless. Person's life is so short, only a few decades. If I have to involve benefits in my own marriage, I guess I won't be happy in this life. Moreover, I won't necessarily be happy even if I marry into a rich family. They won't necessarily take a fancy to me. Ha! If you understand the logic, why are you still pestering Shin Mingxi? Huamin didn't understand. That's because I really like him, Hu Yanyan said word by word. Then she continued, young Master Shin is my classmate in middle school. When he was in middle school, he was already the most handsome boy in school. Not only me, but all the girls in school liked him. After that, he went abroad for many years and disappeared without a trace. I thought that I would never see him again in my life. I didn't expect that he would suddenly come back on young Master Su's birthday. The first time I saw him, I felt my heart skip a beat. I've never felt that way before. It's really magical. I don't want to miss this opportunity, so I shamelessly pursued him. But you know what? You won't be able to marry into the Shin family. Not to mention how many competitors you have. Shin Mingxi has Wei Ying by his side. Many socialites have no choice but to admit defeat. You know the Wei family's background and what kind of person Wei Ying is. Huamin was close to Jiang Xiaowei, so he often heard about her and Shin Mingxi. Wei Ying liked Shin Mingxi as well, even though Shin Mingxi hadn't said anything and they weren't officially dating. However, the Shin family and the Wei family seemed to have already decided on this matter internally. Wei Liao had said more than once that the Shin, Wei, and Liang families would unite by marriage. This was an indisputable fact. I know. Actually, I don't want to marry into the Shin family. I just want Shin Mingxi to know that there's another woman named Hu Yanyan who likes him. That's all. Hu Yanyan smiled foolishly. To be honest, it was quite sad to see Hu Yanyan like this. Fine. All right, that's your business. But you should be more careful in the future. Don't do those things that humiliate yourself. Why are you asking for humiliation? If you want to make a comeback, you should find someone who can accept you and marry you. If you want love, you should find someone who loves you very much. He doesn't care about your appearance or family background, and he doesn't care about the scandals on you. After all, people are realistic. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to know yourself. Huamin's words were a bit harsh, but she wanted to remind Hu Yanyan not to do meaningless things. She thought that Hu Yanyan would be angry and refute her. But to her surprise, she nodded obediently. I'll remember what you said. Huamin, I have to say, you're very generous. No wonder so many people like you and your achievements today. It has a lot to do with your personality. I used to be very jealous of you, and I envied you a lot. Later, I realized that no matter how much I change, I'll never reach your level, so I won't have everything you have. Huamin looked at her without saying anything, but there was a complicated look in her eyes. She never thought that one day, the stupid Hu Yanyan would have an epiphany and understand a lot of life principles. It was really difficult. Okay, then you're on your own. After speaking, Huamin turned to leave. Sister Huamin, I know you're very smart. I'm willing to be your slave and maid, but can you help me deal with Huasiqian? I really hate him. Hu Yanyan said behind Huamin. Huamin, who was about to leave, paused. Chapter 1099. Huasiqian, I can deal with him, but I won't help you because the price is too high. Even if you work for me, you won't be able to make up for the losses. I have to weigh the pros and cons before I do anything. Let's not talk about our past conflicts, but based on our current relationship, even if you give me all of your shares, I still won't help you. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left. Hu Yanyan stood there, seemingly slightly disappointed. In the past, every time her mother told her that she wasn't as smart as Huamin, she wouldn't accept it. But now it seemed like Huamin was really smart. Whatever she said or did, it was not without rhyme or reason. Therefore, she definitely had the ability to deal with Huasiqian. Plus, Huamin had a huge backer like Qin Chu behind him. Unfortunately, Huamin wouldn't agree to her request. Huamin was right, the price of dealing with Huasiqian was too high, and she would have to sacrifice too much. He didn't have to do that, not to mention that he did it to help her. Wasn't that a joke? Huamin walked over and leaned against a corner. Just as she was about to grab some food, Qin Chu walked over. Huamin hugged Huamin's shoulder. Honey, are you tired? Qin Chu asked gently. Huamin shook her head. If you're tired, we'll go back first. It's okay, you can stay a little longer. Rick is a good friend of yours, so it's worth it for you to support him. You're the smartest. I do have a good relationship with Rick, and he's helped me a lot. It's not something that can be calculated with money. So, do you think I'm that immature? Huamin smiled. Qin Chu reached out and rubbed her face lovingly. Not far away, Song Yisher saw this scene and felt like her heart was about to explode. Why? Why did Qin Chu love her so much even though Huamin was not as good-looking as her? He didn't even look at her. Thinking of this, Song Yisher walked over in her high heels. Her mink shawl was stained by Huasiqian with red wine. She had changed into a dark blue evening gown, and her hair was slightly coiled up, looking very elegant. Everyone was smiling from all angles. Coupled with her identity, she had indeed become the center of attention. Unfortunately, no matter how she dressed up, no matter how perfect she was, Qin Chu was not interested. Qin Chu. From afar she called out. Huamin and Qin Chu were being lovey-dovey. When they heard the sound, they both turned their heads. The moment he saw Song Yisher, Huamin stopped smiling, and his mood instantly soured. Qin Chu looked at him with slightly annoyance. When did you guys get here? Why didn't I see you guys just now? She smiled, as if she was still trying to get closer to Huamin. Qin Chu had no intention of answering. Huamin nodded. We've been here for a while. Qin Chu, my dad is here too. He was just asking about you. Song Yisher looked at Qin Chu and smiled. I already greeted him, Qin Chu said faintly. Oh, I see. Song Yisher felt a little awkward. Huamin suddenly thought of something and smiled at Song Yisher. Miss Song, thank you for recording a video of me at the Wei family's wedding. My husband saw how I played the piano. Because of this, he promised to buy me a good piano. Thank you, you're so nice. My friend forgot to record it, but you still remembered to record it for me. Plus, the angle was really beautiful. Song Yisher's expression immediately changed upon hearing this. Then, she smiled awkwardly and said, Really? I'm glad you like it. Of course I like it, I even saved the video. My husband also said that. He didn't know that I could play pop music so well. After speaking, Huamin kissed Qin Chu's right cheek in front of Song Yisher. This sudden kiss made Mr. Qin's heart feel sweet and fuzzy. Song Yisher could only smile awkwardly. What could be more awkward than this? She never would have dreamed that Huamin would treat this as a joke. It was really awkward. Oh right, Miss Song. Why are you so nice to me? Not only did you send the video to my husband, but you also sent the video to my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law came over to ask me how I could play the piano so well. You've helped me so much. How can I thank you? Huamin continued to hold on to Qin Chu's arm and smiled at Song Yisher as if she was telling the truth. This time, Song Yisher really couldn't hold back her pride anymore. Her face turned green and white. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Chapter 1100. You're welcome. I just casually took a picture. Song Yisher looked extremely awkward as she spoke. You're so talented in photography. No wonder you're studying art. When you have time, I'll ask you to take a picture for me. Okay? Huamin continued to smile like a blooming flower. Song Yisher was speechless. Huh? Oh right. Do you want one of the 13 shops on the pedestrian street to be used as a photo studio? Song Yisher was speechless. Honey, let's go take a picture with Rick. Qin Chu held on to Huamin's hand, not allowing her to talk to Song Yisher. Okay then, Miss Song, my husband and I are going to work now. Huamin waved her hand and held on to Qin Chu's arm as they walked to the other side of the street. Looking at Huamin's back, Song Yisher gritted her teeth. How come she didn't realize that Huamin was so powerful? His smile was enough to kill people. Song Yisher's IQ wasn't low, but Huamin's words made her completely speechless. After they left, Qin Chu lovingly pinched Huamin's face. When did I agree to buy you a piano? Huh? Are you trying to blackmail me? Chin Chu couldn't help but laugh. I was just saying. I didn't mean to piss Song Yishur off. Did you see how happy she looked just now? I knew she's no match for you. You didn't talk to her before, so she probably thought you were easy to bully. Now you realize that I'm not someone to be trifled with, right? Huamin smiled proudly. Of course. When my wife gets serious, not many women in the world can compete with her, Chin Chu complimented. Honey, if that's what you want to say, then I'm very happy. The husband and wife echoed each other as they walked to the other side. She stood next to Rick and allowed the media to take photos of her. With GK's president on stage, Rick's private party was instantly elevated to another level. During this time, many famous nobles came in one after another to show their support. Everyone was wearing evening gowns, but Huamian noticed a girl in a red checkered coat eating ice cream in a corner. The style was completely out of place here. The girl was very beautiful. She had long hair, big eyes, and no makeup, but she was stunning at first glance. That girl is so pretty, Huamin murmured. Chin Chu didn't care, because he wasn't interested in any woman other than Huamin. Rick's expression changed, and he said apologetically, "Excuse me." Then he walked towards the girl. Is that Rick's girlfriend? Huamin asked curiously. I haven't heard him mention it yet, but looking at how nervous he is, I'm pretty sure it's her, Chin Chu guessed. The girl quietly ate ice cream in the corner with her head down, and very few people paid attention to her. Perhaps she wanted to be in a place with fewer people so that she wouldn't attract attention. Cece, where's your dress? I got it dirty when I ate ice cream, so I changed into my own clothes. I hope I'm not bothering you. If I am, I'll leave right now. I don't want to embarrass you. Then the girl stood up to leave. However, Rick grabbed her hand. It's okay. You look good in this. Rick's eyes were filled with endless gentleness. Before, he didn't understand why Chin Chu was so nervous around Huamin, but now he finally understood why. From afar, Huamin looked at Rick and the girl. Then, she leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder and smiled. Chin and Huamian seemed to like to show off their affection. Good thing I'm not a dog. After speaking, Tang Chuan immediately hugged his hot girlfriend tightly. I'm not either. Wei Liao immediately clarified proudly. As someone who had just gotten married, he had the right to say that he was no longer single. After speaking, both of them looked at Suyu in unison. Suyu was drinking, but when he heard what Huamian said, his hand holding the red wine froze for a second. So, I'm being attacked for no reason? Lord Su asked with an aggrieved expression. Chapter 1101. Ha ha ha. Lord Su, we didn't say anything. Tang Chuan burst into laughter. Yeah, we didn't name ourselves. Lord Su, don't take it personally, Wei Liao chimed in. Don't pretend. Do you think I don't know what you two are up to? But you can say whatever you want. I'm used to it. After speaking, Suyu lowered his head and continued to drink. Not far away, Huamin leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder and said something with a smile. Suyu must have seen it. However, he didn't say anything. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan were too embarrassed to continue teasing him. They all felt sorry for Suyu for 10 seconds. Every time Chin Chu and Huamian abused Suyu, they would silently feel sorry for Suyu, but there was nothing wrong with being lovey-dovey. They only knew that Suyu was upset, but they didn't know that every time Chin Chu abused Huamian, there was someone else who was even more upset than Suyu. It was just that no one knew, so no one paid attention to him. Huasichin leaned against a round pillar with a glass of champagne in his hand. His female companion was sent away by him, and he just quietly drank his wine with a smile on his face. However, his heart was already in turmoil. He was a person who wouldn't give up until he reached his goal, so he was very patient with Huamin. He had waited for so many years, so a little longer wouldn't make a difference. Huamin glanced over and accidentally met Huasichin's eyes. Huasichin immediately raised the glass in his hand with a smile. Huamin turned his head and didn't respond. However, it didn't matter, he was already used to it. After leaving the party, Huamin and Chin Chu didn't go home directly. Instead, they went to Sky Blessing Court. Ever since Jixin left the country, her mother, Yang Meirong, had been a lot more free and lonely. Huamin also came home more often. He was afraid that his mother would be lonely, so he often went to accompany her. When they arrived, their mother was still having dinner, and there was one more person in the house. It was a little girl. She looked average and was very thin. She had a braid and looked a little old-fashioned. She was wearing a white floral shirt. "You're back?" His mother stood up immediately. "Mom, how did you just find out? What time is it?" Huamin went over and held his mother's hand. "Ha! I'm not very hungry today. I was just waiting for Shopping to come and eat together. By the way, you haven't met her yet, right? Your uncle's eldest daughter, Yang Shopping." Huamian looked in the direction of the voice and saw a girl who looked a little immature. "Shopping, this is Mian." "Hi, Sister Mian." The girl stood up and stammered. "Hello." Mian, Shopping has grown up, right? She's already 20 years old. 1 year older than our Jishin. Yang Meirong seemed to be in a good mood when she saw her family, especially her niece. "Yeah," Huamin said perfunctorily. However, his tone didn't have the enthusiasm of seeing a family member he hadn't seen in a long time. "Shopping, that's my brother-in-law. He's amazing, he's the president of a big company." Yang Meirong pointed at Qin Chu and proudly introduced him. The moment the girl saw Qin Chu, she froze. She grew up in the countryside and didn't know much. The presidents and big bosses she saw on TV were all older men. Maybe he was bald and had a big belly, or maybe he was short and buck-toothed. However, she had never seen such a young, good-looking man who was also a president. Yang Shopping felt her heart beat a lot faster. For a moment, she was in a daze. "Shopping, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and call him your brother-in-law," Yang Meirong urged. Chapter 1102. "Oh, hi. Hi, brother-in-law." The girl seemed a bit shy. Qin Chu nodded slightly. "Don't be so nervous." Huamin smiled, but his reaction was mild. The reason was simple. His grandparents passed away when he was young, and his mother only had one brother. He got married a long time ago in the countryside and had a son and a daughter. However, he had never been willing to come over. His mother, on the other hand, used to go back often to buy things and give him money. Later, when his mother was in dire straits, they turned against her. His mother was so angry that she didn't contact them for many years. Later, after Huamin got married and his life got better, they heard from somewhere and continued to call his mother. Huamin didn't like snobbish people like them, so he didn't like his uncle's family. "Your uncle and his family still have work to do at home. When they're done, they'll come over. Shopping came by herself today, so she'll be staying here for a while." Yang Meirong still cared about her family, so she was very friendly. "Oh, okay, as long as you like it." Although Huamin didn't like it, he wouldn't say it out loud. "Alright, have you two eaten yet? Let's eat together." Shopping brought a lot of wild mushrooms, pickled vegetables, and salted duck eggs. "We already ate, Mom." "We just came to see you," Huamin replied. "Did Jishin call you?" "He hasn't called me in 3 days," Yang Meirong complained. "He did, he even sent me a WeChat message this morning." "Don't worry." Okay, Yang Meirong nodded. "If there's nothing else, we'll go home now, Mom." "Okay, go home and rest. You two are too busy, take care of yourself." "Auntie, you take care of yourself too," Qin Chu said respectfully. After leaving home, the two of them drove to South Hill Manor. "Honey, did you notice that I don't really like that cousin of mine?" Huamin suddenly asked. "I did." "Then do you know why? Maybe you don't like your uncle's family. I feel like you haven't been hanging out with them all these years," Qin Chu analyzed. "My mom and Uncle Jing didn't have enough money, so they asked my uncle to lend them money, but he wouldn't lend them a single cent. It was still autumn and they had just sold their grain, so they had some money. They couldn't even lend them 1,000 yuan. You know, my mom used to give them a lot of money when she was filming, and she gave them a lot of things. Back then, I felt that some people were worse than dogs. If you feed a dog, the dog will wag its tail, but people can kick you to the curb when you've outlived your usefulness. That's why I've hated hearing anything about that family all these years." "Then I can understand." Qin Chu nodded. He seemed to understand Hua Min's feelings. But I can understand my mom. They're heartless. After all, they're my mom's only family. My grandparents are gone, and my brother is the only one left. Even if he's snobbish, he's still family. As long as my mom is happy, I don't mind. China's good daughter. Qin Chu smiled. Ha! I'll strive to be China's good wife in the future. That's a bit difficult. Qin Chu smiled meaningfully. What's difficult? Huamin didn't understand. If you want to be China's good wife, you have to know all 108 positions. Unfortunately, you're only at the upper and lower positions. You're still far from that. After Qin Chu finished speaking, Huamin immediately reacted. He punched him. Honey, you're so perverted. The couple drove home happily and sweetly. On the other hand, Song Yisher's mind was in a mess. She saw that Huamin seemed fine. That shouldn't be the case. Could it be that Mama Qin didn't cause trouble for her? She thought about it and felt uneasy, so she drove directly to the Qin manor. Inside the manor, Song Yisher knocked on the door and walked in. She saw Lady Qin sitting in the living room, eating fruit and drinking tea. Mama Qin, she called out sweetly. Chapter 1103. Oh, sure, you're here, Lady Qin said faintly without getting up. Song Yisher suddenly felt that Lady Qin's attitude was a lot colder than before. Was she overthinking things? Mama Qin, have you had dinner yet? I bought you shrimp dumplings from Li Ji Kanji shop. Song Yisher handed her a lunchbox as she spoke. Oh, I'm done. It's okay. You can give it to your parents, Lady Qin said faintly. Mama Qin, what's wrong? Song Yisher finally realized what was going on. Lady Qin never had this kind of attitude in the past. Nothing, I just ate already. It's gonna spoil tomorrow anyway, so it's a waste. Why don't you take it back and give it to your parents? Lady Qin replied with a smile. Why would I? It's a gift for you, so it's okay if you don't eat it. It's a token of my sincerity. Song Yisher smiled as she put down the lunchbox. Then, she sat down next to Lady Qin. Mama Qin, did you ask Huamin about what happened the other day? I didn't. Lady Qin picked up her teacup and replied faintly. Ah, Song Yisher didn't expect her to answer like that. Lady Qin continued, actually, I was too harsh on Huamin. It's not a big deal for her to play the piano in public. Otherwise, why would everyone see it? It's not like they were meeting in private. Maybe she did it on purpose to hide something? Huamin is very smart, Song Yisher encouraged. Lady Qin slowly put down her teacup, glanced at Song Yisher and said, in the past, I might have thought that way, but now that I think about it, I'm old and confused. Tell me, what's more important than a person's life? If a person dies, what's the point of wealth and status? If Huamin is willing to live and die with Chu, it means that she truly loves him, not just for vanity. So, I don't want to ruin their relationship because of these small things. Right now, I just hope that they can have a child soon. I want to have grandchildren soon. Lady Qin's words and attitude left Song Yisher speechless. Mrs. Qin continued, I used to be biased against Huamian, so I didn't like her all these years. Now that I think about it, it's also because of what happened many years ago that I didn't dare to treat her well because I was afraid that she would still hate me. Now I know how stupid I was. If Huamian hated me, she wouldn't have married Chu. I was just jealous of a gentleman. I'm old, and sometimes I get muddle-headed. Some random people say a few words to me, and they can mess with me. Actually, why do I have to do that? No matter how good other people are, they're still outsiders. Old Qin, Chu, and I and Huamian were a real family. Why do I have to listen to others trying to drive a wedge between us? At this moment, Song Yisher's expression was extremely ugly. Seeing her expression, Lady Qin immediately grabbed her hand and laughed. Sure. Don't think too much. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the people in the company. Those people like to gossip and don't like our family, so they keep stirring up trouble and stirring up trouble. They're really despicable. Everyone says that my son doesn't like those women. If it were me, I wouldn't like those women either. Huamin's personality is a bit cold, but after spending some time together, I realized that he's a pretty good person. At this moment, Song Yisher's heart was in turmoil. She had always used Lady Qin as a tool, but she never thought that one day she would be forced to this point. Lady Qin's words were like a slap to her face, but she couldn't get angry. Sure. Tell me, am I right? Lady Qin deliberately held onto Song Yisher's hand intimately as she asked. Mama Qin, you're right. Song Yisher smiled awkwardly. This was the second time today that she had been bullied. She felt like thousands of alpacas were running through her heart. Mama Qin, Huamin and Qin Chu have been married for so long, but they still haven't had a child. If they never have one in the future, what will you think? Song Yisher was quite smart, so she decided to start from another angle. Chapter 1104. As expected, Lady Qin's expression changed slightly when she heard about the baby. I do want a grandchild, but if there isn't one, then I'm not in a hurry. I believe that this is fate. Some couples even get a grandchild after 3 to 5 years of marriage. They've both had checkups and are healthy, so I'll just have to wait patiently. Mama Qin, you've suddenly changed a lot. A lot of your opinions and attitudes are different from before, Song Yisher said with a bitter smile. Yeah, the people I used to interact with weren't good either. They were all a bunch of despicable people. Those rich ladies, milk means money. They only befriended me because my family was rich, so why would I talk to them? Also, as the saying goes, distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. As time goes by, I'll know whether some people are humans or ghosts. After all, no one is stupid forever, right? Haha, yeah. Song Yisher still felt awkward. Sure, you too. In the future, when you find a man, you have to be careful. Don't find someone who's nice in front of you but is a ghost behind your back. That kind of man, no matter how good he looks or how good his family background is, won't be liked by anyone. Lady Qin even gave her a piece of advice out of the kindness of her heart. I know, Mama Qin. Then, Lady Qin began to chat with her. Song Yisher finally lost her patience. Mama Qin, it's getting late. I'm going to leave now. Okay. Bye. Lady Qin waved her hand and said goodbye. As Song Yisher drove out of the Qin manor, she was filled with anger. She smashed the steering wheel. You old thing. How dare you insult me indirectly? You'll suffer in the future. They originally thought that they could use Lady Qin's prejudice against Huamin to drive a wedge between them. However, the fact that Huamin was willing to risk his life for Qin Chu made Qin Chu's parents look at him in a different light. Even if she had any objections, she would not have them anymore. She would not treat Huamin with the same attitude as before. Lady Qin was simple-minded, so it was inevitable that she would get hot-headed sometimes. But that day at South Hill Manor, after being criticized by Qin Chu and Huamin, he chatted with Uncle Li for a while. Only then did he discover many truths that he didn't know. She also began to understand Song Yisher's true colors. On Friday, GK's year-end thank you banquet was held on Yunding Mountain. After Huamin got off work on Friday, he took Qin Chu's car and went there directly. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran also went with them. Jiang Xiaowei was pregnant and it was inconvenient for her to travel so far away, so she didn't go. But on WeChat, she kept complaining. She even said that she would only give birth once, regardless of whether it was a boy or a girl. She would never have a second child in the future because it was too inconvenient. Pregnant women were like a strange species that was discriminated against. There were many things that they could not do. There were many things that could not be eaten, and there were many places that could not be visited. There were also many positions that could not be used. Jiang Xiaowei was so angry that she kept torturing Wei Liao. In order to make his wife happy, Wei Liao booked a Western restaurant and had dinner with Su Yu, Tang Chuan, and the others. While eating, Jiang Xiaowei would occasionally pick up her phone and send WeChat messages. Occasionally, she would even giggle, "Sister-in-law, are you cheating on me? Young Master Wei is right next to you. Who are you chatting so happily with?" Tang Chuan teased. Before Jiang Xiaowei could reply, Wei Liao answered for her. Other than Huamin, I can't think of anyone else. Ha ha ha. Good thing you're a girl, or else you'd be the second Lord Su. You're all so smitten by Huamin that you don't know where you're going. Tang Chuan laughed maniacally. So I'm being attacked again? So you felt like he had been very unlucky recently. No matter what happened, he would be dragged into it. His chances of being attacked increased exponentially. Huamin and Qin Chu are going to Yunding Mountain for GK's end-of-year celebration. Lingling and Captain Gao are going too. I want to go too, Jiang Xiaowei complained. Be a little good. Let's not go, Yunding Mountain is just a poor ravine. It's boring, Wei Liao comforted her. Phew. Do you think I'm stupid? Yunding Mountain is GK's top resort. It has hot springs, a ski resort, a green vegetable plantation, and a unique red maple forest. Jiang Xiaowei was immediately irritated. Wei Liao immediately shut up. Huh? Mian just took a selfie. It's so rare, who wants to see it? Jiang Xiaowei picked up her phone and asked with a proud smile. Everyone immediately looked towards Suyu. Chapter 1105. Why are you guys all looking at me? So you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Would he be able to have dinner with these guys in the future? Don't you want to see it? Tang Chuan asked with a smile. Just admit it, we won't laugh at you, Wei Liao added. Okay, I want to see it, so you finally admitted. 100 yuan. Jiang Xiaowei gestured with her hand. What, the you want money? Suyu was dumbfounded. Of course. There's no free lunch in this world. If you say that, then I won't be happy. If you want money, then I'll... Suyu paused. Everyone thought that Suyu was very stubborn. Was he so angry that he didn't want to see it? Was he able to resist the temptation of seeing Hua Min's selfies? However, Suyu said, I just want to ask if there's any room for negotiation. 100 yuan is too expensive, how about 80 yuan? Lord Su, you're so stubborn. I thought you said you didn't want to see it. Tang Chuan laughed maniacally. I thought so too. Who knew you'd make such a huge plot twist? Wei Liao laughed. You get what you pay for. If you want 80 yuan, then I'll have to mosaic Hua Mian's face. Jiang Xiaowei said word for word. Sis-in-law? You're so ruthless. I'm kneeling. Tang Chuan admired Jiang Xiaowei. He was so impressed that he wanted to prostrate himself before her. If she could say something like that, then she was no ordinary person. My wife is so mighty and domineering. Wei Liao gave her a thumbs up. So you took out his wallet and took 5 selfies for her. Then he said generously, I'll give you 500 yuan. Let me see this one first. If you have any more selfies, send them to me. Godly tycoon. Jiang Xiaowei was overjoyed as she passed the phone to him. So you picked it up and looked at his WeChat moments. It was a selfie that Huamin had just posted. It was taken in the car. She seemed to be in a good mood because Huamin was not a narcissist and would not post it often. Therefore, the occasional shot would make people's eyes light up. The temperature in the car should be very high. Huamin was only wearing a furry beige sweater. Both sides of her hair were braided with neat bangs. She looked especially cute, like a cherry ball. Because she didn't wear any makeup, she gave people a very comfortable feeling. So you seemed to really like this photo and couldn't put it down. He couldn't say anything to Jiang Xiaowei, so he immediately saved it. Then he had Jiang Xiaowei send it to his WeChat. Lord Su, seeing you like this makes my heart ache. This is a socialist society, let me tell you otherwise. If we were in ancient times, I would definitely bring a bunch of bandits to kidnap Huamin and make her your wife. Fuck off, I'm not the king of a mountain. Suyu laughed. Actually, everyone knew about Suyu's feelings for Huamin. Jiang Xiaowei occasionally sent Suyu benefits, not to tease him or mock him. She also wasn't trying to scam him out of money. She just felt bad for Suyu. Huamin was bored in the car with Zhu Lingling, Gao Ran, and the others. The 4 of them started chatting in the WeChat group. Qin Chu drove the Maybach while Huamin sat in the passenger seat. Gao Ran drove the Jaguar while Zhu Lingling sat in the passenger seat. The 2 cars were very close to each other, one in front and one behind. Then they could tease each other through WeChat. Therefore, the drive was very interesting. When Gao Ran pretended to reach out for water, he purposely touched Zhu Lingling's hand. She instinctively avoided his touch. Gao Ran immediately complained, Fuck. Zhu Lingling, what do you mean? Will it kill you to hold hands? Chapter 1106. Bullshit. How would I know that you were going to hold my hand? I thought you were going to get water and I was going to stop you, Zhu Lingling retorted. Qin Chu and Huamin laughed so hard that their stomachs hurt. We're just on the road and you guys are already holding hands. Are we going to have car sex in less than 5 kilometers? Huamin asked on purpose. Gao Ran was speechless. Zhu Lingling said, Huamin, you've become dirty. I learned it from Mr. Qin, Huamin said proudly. Honey, don't you feel bad for making me your scapegoat? Aren't you embarrassed? When I married you, I wanted you to be my scapegoat or something. Fine, I admit defeat. But can I do it 2 more times tonight as compensation for being the scapegoat? Mr. Qin asked in all seriousness. This time, it was the couple's turn to burst into laughter. The 4 of them chatted and laughed along the way. When they arrived at the hotel, they immediately checked in. Every time they saw the Mian Hotel, Huamin could feel Qin Chu's deep love for him. The hotel manager reserved 2 presidential suites for the 4 of them. The rest of the hotel rooms were all filled with GK's employees. Of course, this time Jiang Linyue came as well. This was her only chance to come to Yunding Mountain and see Qin Chu. GK's annual end-of-year celebration was to give out bonuses to the employees. When Qin Chu's father was still in charge, it was simpler and more straightforward. Now that Qin Chu took over, he didn't think of anything new. Therefore, he planned this employee celebration half a month in advance and used it as a form of entertainment. It was a good opportunity for everyone to relax, relieve some stress, and come up with a special topic for the project. It would be published in newspapers and major media outlets, and it would also promote the resort, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Needless to say, Qin Chu was very business-minded. I didn't think that winter here could be so beautiful. The moment they got out of the car, Huamin was mesmerized by the snowy scenery. Because there were many mountain ranges in Mount Yunding, it was a magnificent sight even in winter. If you like, we can stay for a few more days. Qin Chu looked at her gently. No, it's the end of the year and you have a lot of things to do. We can stay for 2 days and leave after the meeting. We'll come back when we have time. Huamin wasn't a capricious person and wouldn't ask Qin Chu to do everything for him. This made Qin Chu even more. President Qin, dinner will be served in 15 minutes. Would you like to eat alone or with everyone in the Magnolia Hall? The hotel manager asked carefully. Honey, what do you think? Qin Chu asked. Then let's eat together. Qin Chu ordered. Okay, President Qin. In 15 minutes, you and Mrs. Qin must go to the Magnolia Hall for dinner. I will reserve a table of food and drinks for you, Mrs. Qin, and your friends. Then, the manager went downstairs. Huamin and Qin Chu changed into formal wear and suits. 15 minutes later, they went downstairs with Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. They didn't know until they saw it, but they were shocked. There were more than 100 tables in the Magnolia Hall. They heard that there were more than 1,000 people at this employee meeting. My God, it's so spectacular. There are so many people. It's like the Spring Festival Gala, Gao Ran exclaimed. Not everyone is here yet. There are still a few people on duty. Otherwise, there would be more people here. Qin Chu replied with a smile. The 4 of them walked to the center table and sat down. Hello, President Qin. Hello, a young lady. People greeted them along the way. When they sat down, Zhu Lingling looked at the dishes on the table and almost drooled. There were a total of 20 dishes, all of which were exquisite. There were seafood, staples, and many stir-fried dishes. Before they could say anything, Jiang Linyue, who was wearing an emerald evening gown, suddenly walked over. With a glass of wine in her hand, she smiled at Huamin and said, Thank you, a young lady, for taking care of me and promoting me over the past few months. I'd like to propose a toast to a young lady. Then, she downed her glass. Huamin looked at Jiang Linyue with a complicated expression and didn't say anything. Chapter 1107. You're too kind. Director Jiang, you're so capable. It's a waste of your talent to stay in the design department. You'll only be able to realize your potential if you work at a branch company. I'm also different from everyone else. If it were another female employee, they wouldn't even have this opportunity. So, Director Jiang, sometimes you're a very special existence to me. Huamin smiled and took a small sip from his wine glass. Jiang Lingyue bit her lips, feeling quite awkward. She originally wanted to use this opportunity to embarrass Huamin. After all, he wouldn't go too far in front of so many employees. However, to her surprise, Huamin's words were even sharper. And in the end, she was the one who felt awkward. Jiang Lingyue learned her lesson from last year's 30-year anniversary party and thought that she wouldn't have the chance to come again. However, to her surprise, Huamin didn't do anything this time. She thought that she took advantage of the situation. Little did she know that it wasn't that Huamin forgot about her, but that he didn't want to be distracted by small things like this. Ever since Qin Chu was shot, and the two of them experienced life and death, Huamin suddenly realized that Jiang Lingyue and Song Yishe were nothing to her and Qin Chu. These people weren't even passers-by in their lives. At most, they were just bystanders. After hearing Huamin's words, Jiang Linyue's face turned red, and she obediently turned around. Otherwise, she would probably end up in an even worse state. The female employees at your company are quite interesting. Why do they all seem to be your enemies? Zhu Lingling also noticed what was going on and asked Huamin with a smile. It's all because of Mr. Qin's beauty. He's too seductive and he walks around GK all the time. Any woman would fall for him. So there are always people who think that they're prettier and more suitable for Mr. Qin than I am. She's just one of them, so it's not surprising. Huamian, is it really okay for you to use the word seductive to describe your husband? Gao Ran laughed. Then what should I use? Don't tell me you're going to use allure? Huamin continued teasing. Fuck. Qin Chu, your wife is really a demon. Her mouth is too sharp. I can't beat her. Gao Ran immediately surrendered. Qin Chu only smiled without saying anything. He liked to listen to whatever Huamin said. To put it bluntly, even when Huamin scolded someone, he felt that it was pleasant to hear. This was what it meant to be spoiled to a certain extent. Zhu Lingling picked up a tissue and wiped the lipstick off her lips. As she wiped, she sighed. Women in this new era. So fucking tiring. In the past, we only needed to be good in the kitchen. Now, we need to be good in the kitchen. 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 Ha ha ha. Lingling, you're so talented. Do you really have to be like this? Huamin couldn't stop laughing. Do I have to be like this? Sometimes, I feel that it's so tiring for women to live in this era. Not only do we have to take care of our children, we also have to be filial to our elders. And we also have to worry about our husbands cheating on us. It's so fucking unfair. I think the country should implement polyandry. One woman can have 4 husbands. That way, there's less pressure to support the family. Women can also have a lot more free time. I agree. Huamin immediately raised his hand. At that moment, she seemed to feel Mr. Qin's sharp gaze on her. She immediately changed her words and said, although I agree with your idea, 1 husband is more than enough. Yes, it's definitely enough. Qin Chu expressed his satisfaction, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Come on, with your physique, you need to find 4 husbands. Can you handle it? Don't pass out in bed. Also, you forgot to mention 2 of the new era women's skills that you mentioned just now. Let me fill you in. Gao Ran reminded her. What did you forget to mention? Zhu Lingling looked at Gao Ran in confusion. Good in the kitchen. 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 Good in the position. Good in the bed. Qin Chu. Huamin. Zhu Lingling. Fuck. Are you even a police officer? Why are you so dirty? Chapter 1108. People's police officers are people too. They have basic biological needs, Gao Ran said righteously. Huamin couldn't stop laughing. She leaned against Qin Chu's chest and laughed until she couldn't catch her breath. Qin Chu hugged Huamin with one arm. His eyes were filled with tenderness. The employees began to gossip about the president in private. Jiang Linyue's table was filled with employees from the branch company. Many of them were meeting President Qin and Lady Qin for the first time. Therefore, they enjoyed talking about them. President Qin is so handsome. He's as handsome as those movie stars. I didn't expect him to be so young and capable. Lady Qin isn't very pretty, but she looks like a nice person. She's always smiling and isn't pretentious. Jiang Linyue didn't seem to feel comfortable listening to this, so she interrupted, "What do you guys know? You can't tell from the surface. The nicer they pretend to be, the more fake they are. If she's so innocent, how did she get to the top? Think about it. Have you ever watched ancient dramas? If she wasn't scheming, how could she become the empress? Naive." After Jiang Linyue said this, everyone immediately fell silent. No one wanted to offend the president of the branch company. To be honest, after Jiang Linyue went to the branch company, she didn't do much, but she didn't do anything wrong. No matter how capable she wasn't a management major, so she couldn't use her talents to their fullest. Plus, she was angry and didn't put all her focus on work, so the branch company's performance wasn't outstanding at all. "President Qin, can we start now?" The hotel manager walked up to Qin Chu and asked carefully. Qin Chu nodded. Then, the hotel manager immediately gave out the order to distribute the cutlery. Then, Assistant Yang stood up with a microphone and said to the thousands of people present, "Everyone, let's raise our glasses to our dearest President Qin and a young lady. Thank you for hosting us at the end of the year, and we wish them happiness and love forever." Then, thousands of people stood up and raised their glasses. Qin Chu and Huamin also stood up and returned the toast. It was a grand occasion. "Your assistant's bootlicking skills. I'll give him 9 points. I'm afraid he'll get arrogant," Gao Ran teased with a smile. "Little Yang is a very nice person. Being a bootlicker is also a good thing, okay? It's human nature to like to hear good words. Although honest words are unpleasant to the ear, who wants to listen to negative energy all day long?" Huamin explained. Then, one after another, female and male employees went on stage to sing and perform. At first, everyone was a little embarrassed, but then Yang announced that Chairman Qin had said that everyone who performed on stage would get a red packet. As soon as he finished speaking, the performers immediately swarmed over. The dinner lasted for more than 3 hours, and the last segment was the distribution of red packets. The previous year-end red packets made everyone's hands go soft. There was also an exciting lucky draw. There were laptops, cameras, phones, watches, luxury bags, and everything else. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling were so envious that they couldn't sit still anymore. "You guys are so extravagant. Even the lucky draw for the year-end bonus includes LV bags, Hermes, Prada, and Burberry. TSK. The super rich can really do whatever they want. Your company's benefits are so good. Damn it, I don't want to work at the airline anymore. I want to quit and join GK." Zhu Lingling looked at the mountain of luxury items with envy. "I don't want to work there either. Qin Chu, find me a position as well. I want to work at your company too." Gao Ran, a police officer, couldn't resist the temptation and immediately betrayed them. "Don't be jealous. I prepared gifts for you guys too." Huamin smiled. "We got gifts too? What are they? Give them to me, let me see." Zhu Lingling was pleasantly surprised. Chapter 1109. Then, Huamin waved his hand. There were 2 bags on the waitress tray. Huamin picked them up and handed one to Gao Ran and the other to Zhu Lingling. "A limited edition LV belt and a limited edition LV bag." Huamin said, "Oh my, that's too extravagant. Remember to bring us to next year's employee meeting, haha." Zhu Lingling happily took the gifts. "I'm happy to be friends with you too. You're so sensible." Gao Ran picked up the belts and looked at them. "This isn't from our company, we paid for it ourselves. It's a New Year's gift for you too," Huamin explained. "That's great. To show our gratitude, we'll definitely give you one in return." Then, Zhu Lingling took out something from her bag and slapped it on Huamin's hand. "Take it." Huamin looked at the thing in his hand and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was an entire box of Durex. "Are you sure you're not messing with me? We want a child now. What's the point of giving me this thing? Do you still want to be a godmother?" Huamin asked through gritted teeth. "You're thinking too much. I know you guys want a baby, so you don't usually bring one. But what if Mr. Qin can't control himself and runs a red light when you're on your period? It's not good to get a bed full of them, right? This is very convenient, it's super thin and breathable. Haha, it's the same whether you bring it or not, it's absolutely comfortable. You're such a sharp-tongued Ling. I admire no one but you. Gao Ran gave her a thumbs up. He didn't know about this gift before, but when he saw Zhu Lingling take out the box of Durex, he was speechless. You two animals, Huamin scolded with a smile. He even thought of something like her period. He was truly a pervert among perverts. I'm doing this for your own good. When your period comes, it lasts for 7 or 8 days. Can Mr. Qin take it? Zhu Lingling said in all seriousness. Qin Chu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly interrupted. I will try my best to restrain myself. Huamin. Ha 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 ha. Look. Mr. Qin is having a hard time restraining himself. You don't have to anymore. With this, you can do whatever you want. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran laughed hysterically. After the 4 of them finished their meal, they went out for a walk. It was very cold in Mount Yunding in the middle of winter, and it often snowed in the middle of the night. The 4 of them wore thick clothes and walked in the snow on the path in front of the hotel. It was peaceful and quiet. Humans are really a mysterious species. They like to reminisce about the past and sigh. I remember the last time I was here. I thought it would be a long time before I could come again. I didn't expect it to be so soon, and it's the 4 of us. Huamin said slowly. Just then, a few snowflakes fell on Huamin's head. Qin Chu, who was wearing gloves, gently brushed them off for her. Zhu Lingling saw this and was extremely envious. She immediately turned around and said to Gao Ran, Stinky cop, I want one too. Okay. Gao Ran immediately walked up to Zhu Lingling, put his hands on her head, and shook it violently. She immediately felt dizzy. Fuck, what are you doing? My neck is going to break. Do you know that? Didn't you ask me to help you with the snowflakes? Gao Ran looked like he was wronged. I fucking asked you to be gentle like Mr. Qin, but you're so fucking rough. No wonder you can't find a wife. Look at you. Any woman would be scared away by you. But you didn't scare them away, did you? I can't fucking get married. So I'm just trying to make do with you? Zhu Lingling argued. That's why. A broken pot has a broken lid, and a dumbass has a dumbass love. Gao Ran gave her a classic quote. Zhu Lingling kicked him in the butt. Fuck off. You're the dumbass. Dating you makes me fucking worried, Zhu Lingling yelled. Huamin and Qin Chu watched from the side, smiling without saying anything. The time the 4 of them spent together was always very happy. Time also seemed to pass very quickly. After a weekend, the 4 of them went back to work as usual. On Monday morning, after Huamin finished his morning meeting, Jiang Xiaowei sent her a WeChat message. Mian, breaking news. Lord Su went on a blind date today. Did you know? Chapter 11:10. Really? Huamin's reaction was normal. Maybe she didn't think that Su Yu's blind date was news. Plus, because Su Yu helped Qin Chu get a military doctor, he made a deal with his grandfather. This made Huamin quite sad. Aren't you curious to see it? Why would I be curious? Today's blind date is with a doctor from the first hospital. She's your colleague. Jiang Xiaowei was quite gossipy. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. There are a lot of doctors in the first hospital. I don't even know most of them. Why would I be curious? You're right. Anyway, I think it's quite interesting. I wonder what Lord Su's blind date will be like. It must be hilarious, right? After chatting with Jiang Xiaowei for a while, Huamin didn't take it seriously and continued working. At the first hospital's pediatric outpatient department, Su Yu came here to meet his blind date as requested. God knew how much he didn't want to go on blind dates, but he had no choice. He had made a deal with his grandfather. A man had to keep his word. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to keep his word in front of his grandfather. Su Yu drove his black Lamborghini all the way to the first hospital. When he arrived, he was glad that he wasn't at Southside. Otherwise, if Huamin saw him, how awkward would that be? At the pediatric outpatient department, are you here to see a doctor? Go line up first. A young female doctor said impatiently. No, I'm here to see someone. Who are you looking for? The female doctor looked up. Suyu touched his nose awkwardly. What's her name? I think it's Sun something Ting. Sun Ting Ting? Suyu vaguely remembered that she was the niece of his mother's best friend. Apparently, she graduated from Jing City's medical school and was also a top student. Now, she was working at the first hospital as a pediatric doctor. Her family was in the lumber business and was rich. Although they weren't of equal social status, their family background was clean. Suyu wasn't interested in wood, socialites, or top students. The only thing that piqued his interest was the profession of a doctor. He was actually quite curious. Were all women who were doctors the same as Huamin? Or just like Huamin? Suyu was curious, but he also kept his promise to his grandfather. He obediently went on the blind date. Sun Yiting, the female doctor corrected her. Yes, Sun Yiting. Suyu immediately understood after being reminded. Where is she now? Suyu looked around, trying to look into the clinic. There's no need to look. I'm her. The female doctor took off her mask. Suyu froze on the spot. How could there be such a coincidence? To think that one of them would be the true body. Suyu rubbed his forehead awkwardly. Are you Suyu? The female doctor raised her head and asked. Yes. Suyu nodded. After confirming that it was Suyu, the female doctor's attitude immediately became much better. She smiled and said, I'm sorry for what happened just now. We have too many patients here, so my tone wasn't too good. All right, let's go somewhere else to talk. It's not convenient here. The female doctor led Suyu all the way to the backyard of the first hospital. There were fewer people here, so it was a good place to talk. Suyu glanced at the female doctor. She was quite pretty. She was around 165 centimeters tall, fair and clean. However, for some reason, Suyu just couldn't bring himself to like her. She couldn't even compare to Huamin. I heard that you have your own entertainment company. I don't pay much attention to the entertainment industry, so I don't know much about it. The female doctor took the initiative to speak. Yes, Suyu nodded. That's pretty impressive. You don't usually fool around with those female celebrities, right? I hate it when men cheat on women. Suyu was quite surprised by the female doctor's sudden words. Chapter 11:11. To be honest, I used to. But not anymore. Why? Were you upset? The female doctor asked. Suyu was speechless. He felt that this female doctor didn't know how to talk. Her tone was also very aggressive, making it hard for him to like her. No, it's because of someone. Who? Ex-girlfriend? The female doctor continued to ask. No. Then who is it? The female doctor didn't seem to give up. I'm sorry. We're not close enough to discuss private matters. Suyu froze for a moment after saying this. Huh? Wasn't that Huamin's catchphrase? Why did he use it so casually? What a magical feeling. After being choked by Suyu, Sun Yiting didn't continue to ask. Instead, she took the initiative to introduce herself. My aunt should have told you, right? I graduated from Jing City Medical School. I'm a top student. She did, but in this day and age, there are a lot of top students. Out of 10 people, 5 are undergraduates, and 2 are graduate students. So you didn't like the girl's tone. What was so great about being a top student? She didn't graduate from Harvard Medical School. Did she have to be so awesome? Sure enough, after hearing what Suyu said, the girl stopped talking about being a top student and continued, I'm an only child. Haha, I'm not a twin, Suyu retorted. My parents are in the lumber business. My family has 3 furniture factories, and they'll give them to me in the future. Suyu held his forehead and said in boredom, not counting my own Imperial Star Entertainment. My family has the largest private bank in the country. In the future, I can take over the family business. If you don't have enough money for your small toy factories, you can come to me. I might be able to help you get a loan. You? Sun Yiting was furious. Why do you speak so harshly? Sun Yiting had a sense of superiority. She had gone on many blind dates, and it was always the men who praised her. This was the first time that he had seen Suyu speak so crudely, so he was furious. Then, when you talk to me, can you not be so pretentious? Su resisted the impulse several times. Otherwise, he really wanted to give her a few slaps. I'm not pretending. I'm just telling the truth. Sun Yiting didn't seem to think that she was wrong. Did your aunt tell you who I am? Su asked with his arms crossed. He did. He said that your family is in the banking business. You even have an entertainment company. Then do you know who my entertainment company has made famous? Su glanced at her coldly. The female doctor shook her head. Does Jen Tong know? I know. Isn't she the most popular female celebrity now? The one who acted in the palace drama. It seemed that she hadn't lost her mind after working so much. Yes, she was groomed by my company. I can ask her to serve me tea at any time. Can you? Sun Yiting was stunned. Is your company that powerful? Sun Yiting had just returned to the city and worked at the first hospital for less than half a month. Therefore, she didn't know much about the situation in the city, let alone the legend of Suyu. That was why she dared to speak so boldly. Forget it. It's a waste of time to talk to you. If it weren't for my mom, I wouldn't have talked to you. I'm leaving. Then, Suyu turned around and left. Hey, Mr. Su, wait a second. What? Suyu said in annoyance. This idiot who pretended to be a persecutor had completely worn out his patience. What do you think of us? The female doctor asked shamelessly. I think there are 10 Pacific Oceans between us. After speaking, Suyu left without looking back. The female doctor was left alone in a mess. 10 Pacific Oceans, how far was that? Was it necessary? After walking out of the first hospital and getting into his Lamborghini, Suyu picked up his phone and dialed a number. Mom, it's done. How was it? Is that girl your type? Mrs. Su asked nosily. Chapter 11-12. Mom, tell me the truth. Where did you find such an idiot? Suyu asked impatiently. Mother Su was speechless. What's going on? Is that girl stupid? Mother Su didn't think it was possible. She was introduced by her friend, so she should be reliable. Not only is she stupid, but she's also a pretentious prick. How is that possible? Son, did you meet the wrong person? Mother Su asked worriedly. No, there aren't that many young people in the pediatrics department. She's a top student, and her family sells toys. What toys? Her family is in the lumber business. Mother Su corrected him. I don't care what she does. But, no, she's terrible. If I marry her, you and Dad will live at least 10 years less. Is it that serious? Mother Su wondered if her son was making a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, I don't have time to argue with you. I just followed the rules. I don't like her, so you can't blame me. Okay, I'm going back to the company. After speaking, Suyu hung up the phone before Mother Su could say anything. Suyu wanted to drive straight back to the company, but for some reason, he drove to Southside Recuperation Center. Since he was already there, he couldn't let it go to waste. So, after hesitating for a while, Suyu got out of the car. Inside the neurology office, Huamin was looking at the CT scans of the patients' heads on her computer and analyzing their conditions. When she heard a knock on the door, she thought it was her assistant, so she didn't even look up. Come in. So you opened the door and slowly walked in. Jie, can you get me a glass of water? Thank you. Huamin reached out and pushed her personal glass of water forward. So you froze for a second, then obediently picked up the glass and went to the water dispenser to get Huamin some water. Then, she placed the glass on her desk. Huamin was engrossed in reading the documents. She took a sip of water and slowly put it down. Xiao Jie, do you have the patient's medical record from yesterday? Give it to me. I think you're about to have a split personality. Suyu looked at Huamin's profile and laughed. Huamin was surprised to hear Suyu's voice. Why are you here? Who do you think it is? Suyu looked at her with amusement. I thought it was my assistant. Huamin was too engrossed. Is your assistant as tall, strong, and handsome as me? All right, stop joking around. Why are you here? Well, I'm here to visit a friend. He's recuperating here. I just remembered that I've been busy with work recently and haven't been able to sleep well, so I wanted you to prescribe me some sedative medicine. So you deliberately tried to find a topic. He really couldn't say that he came because he wanted to see her, because every time he got serious, Huamin would feel especially awkward. That was why he came up with all kinds of excuses. You can't take sedative medicine casually, you'll become dependent on it. I recommend physical therapy. How do I do that? Use an eye massage machine, drink some red wine before bed, and listen to some soft music to relieve your tense nerves. You can't sleep well because the nerves in your brain are too excited. You might be under a lot of pressure or have something on your mind. Just adjust yourself. It's not a serious illness, Huamin advised. Okay, I'll go back and try it. Suyu nodded. Didn't you go on a blind date today? How was it? Any progress? Huamin suddenly thought of this and asked with a smile. Chapter 11:13. You're so well informed? Don't tell me you found someone to follow me? Do you think I'd spend that kind of money to follow you? Huamin laughed. Sigh, don't even mention it. My blind date is an idiot. I can't even look at her. It's like she's torturing me, Suyu complained. Ha! Isn't she a doctor from the first hospital? Yeah. Because she's a doctor, I was curious and agreed to take a look at her. But what the hell? It's crazy. Suyu really regretted agreeing to her mother's arrangement. It seemed like she had been blinded by the profession of a doctor. She mistakenly thought that all female doctors were like Huamin, smart, self-aware, and calm. Really? Aren't you exaggerating? Huamin looked at Suyu, amused. Suyu looked at Huamin and suddenly reached out to take off her glasses and put them on herself. Huamin didn't expect this sudden action. Hey, what are you doing? Are you a robber? Nice glasses. Give them to me. After Suyu put them on, she took out her phone and took a picture of herself. No way, you're a godlike tycoon. Why would you rob someone else? Of course I can't give them to you, but I can sell them to you for 1,000. You and Jiang Xiaowei don't have the same mother, right? You're so fucking alike. All you talk about is money. Suyu looked at Huamin speechlessly and immediately thought of Jiang Xiaowei, that money grubber. Maybe I'm gonna do a DNA test with her later. Huamin was extremely cooperative. Wei Liao is so lucky to have Jiang Xiaowei. After Suyu finished speaking seriously, he took off his glasses and placed them on Huamin's table. He looked at her with a complicated expression and said, Qin Chu is so lucky to have Huamin. After hearing Suyu's words, the usually eloquent Huamin bit his lips, not knowing what to say. She didn't know why, but sometimes, when she heard Suyu speak seriously, she would feel sad. Ha, I'm fine. I just saw a friend and came to see you. You can continue with your work. I won't disturb you. After speaking, Suyu turned around and left. Suyu, Huamin suddenly called out to him. Suyu turned around with one hand in his pocket, looking very handsome. Don't you like this spectacle frame? I'll give it to you. After speaking, she didn't forget to add, it's free. Forget it. No matter how much I like it, it's not mine. You can keep it. Thank you. Suyu smiled. After speaking, he walked out of Huamin's office. Huamin was slightly surprised. Then, she quietly picked up the spectacle frame, put it on, and continued to work. Every time she saw Suyu, she felt very complicated, especially when Suyu was serious. So, to be honest, Huamin didn't want to have too much contact with Suyu. She felt that it was better for everyone. But the difference was that every time Suyu saw Huamin, he felt a sense of satisfaction. It was as if he was going to be in a good mood for the day. Fei Wang had a song called Legend. There was a line in the lyrics that was very suitable for this situation. Just because I saw you in the crowd, I couldn't forget your face. I dreamed that one day we would meet again. Since then, I've been missing you alone. When I miss you, you're in front of me. When I miss you, you're in my mind. When I miss you, you're in my heart. I'd rather believe that we were fated in our previous lives, that our love story in this life won't change. I'd rather wait for you to realize that I've always been by your side. On the way back, Suyu played this song on repeat. Today, he no longer felt pain from missing her. Instead, he felt happy because he saw Huamin. Imperial Star Headquarters, when Suyu returned to his office, there was a pile of documents waiting for him to sign. After reviewing them one by one, he began to sign them fluently. President Su, how was your blind date today? Assistant and asked nervously. Chapter 11:14. Suyu paused in the middle of signing a document. He looked up and narrowed his eyes as he sized up his assistant. When did you stop being an assistant and become a paparazzi? No, I'm just concerned about your marriage, President Su. And admitted that he wanted to know if his boss's relationship was going to end well. Will my marriage affect your career? Suyu asked angrily. It won't affect my career, but I was thinking, if you can get married, maybe I can have a vacation. Boss, I'm getting married next month and I'm going back to my hometown for the wedding. Can you give me a week off? And gritted his teeth and finally said his little wish. Suyu? So, when did you get a girlfriend? Suyu was too surprised, and had been by his side for a long time. How could he not know that he had a girlfriend and was about to get married? Was this kid lying to him because he was on vacation? I just got it last month. Last month? You're getting married next month? Suyu was shocked. Yeah. And nodded. Flash marriage? Yeah. And nodded again. How did you meet? I shook it. Damn, I'm speechless. I approve your vacation. I'll give you half a month off. You can even have time for your honeymoon. Thank you, boss. And was excited. Boss, yeah? Good luck to you two. Get out of singlehood soon. And really hoped that his boss could have a partner. Thank you. You don't have to worry about me. After An was given a vacation, the kid immediately ran away, afraid that he would go back on his word. But thinking about it, it was quite amazing. So there really were people who would get married in a flash? After work, Suyu walked out of the headquarters and saw Jian Tong on the first floor. She was wearing an ancient costume and hadn't had time to change. President Su. Jian Tong walked over with a smile. Yeah. Suyu nodded. There's an indoor scene today, so I went back to the company to shoot. Have you eaten? Let me treat you to a meal. Jian Tong was one of the few female celebrities that Suyu was not annoyed by, because she was very self-aware. I'm not going. I want to go back to the old house. Oh, okay. Then you go ahead. I'll ask you out later. Jian Tong would not be like other women who would be unhappy just because Suyu rejected her. Suyu drove straight back to the Su family's old house. The renovation of the new villa was almost done, but he wasn't willing to live there. She had gotten used to living at home and was actually a little afraid of loneliness. Son, you're back. Dinner is ready. Today I made your favorite braised pork trotters. Mrs. Su smiled. So you didn't seem to be in a good mood. It doesn't matter if we can't do it today. We have more tomorrow. Before Mrs. Su could finish, she was interrupted by Suyu. Mom, thank you. I know that you and Grandpa are doing this for my sake, so you helped me. But I really don't like them. I'm really tired. Can you not make any more arrangements? Mrs. Su's heart ached when she saw her son's tired expression. Son, are you still thinking about? Mom, I know what I'm doing. After saying this, Suyu went straight upstairs. Mrs. Su looked at her son's back with sadness. Her son was so good, but Huamian just didn't like him. It was all God's will. Huayanyan hadn't been out much lately because there were always people who wanted to kick her when she was down. Today, she received a call from one of her best friends who wanted to buy her coffee. However, when she arrived, she saw that there was another person besides that woman. She also knew that person. Hello, Miss Hua, Song Yisher said with a smile. Miss Song, don't be so formal. Sit down, let's talk. Miss Song and I don't really know each other. Huayanyan had learned to be smart recently and looked at Song Yisher a little defensively. But I'm very interested in Huamin. Are you willing to work with me? Song Yisher looked at Huayanyan with a smile. Huayanyan looked at her in surprise. Chapter 11:15. How do we work together? Huayanyan slowly sat down across from Song Yisher. It's simple. You need to expose Huamin's childhood. You need to expose all the dirt you know about her. whether it's true or not. Yes, whether it's true or not. You want me to fabricate some dirt? Hua Yanyan asked as she looked at Song Yisher. You could say that. You? Why are you doing this? Did she offend you in any way? You don't need to know that. All you need to know is that I want you to do this. What do I get in return? Hua Yanyan asked. 1 million. After speaking, Song Yisher took out a bank card. Here's 1 million. Although it's not a lot, I know that you've been in need of money lately. We all know about the changes in your family. You probably don't even have the money to buy clothes anymore. You're quite pitiful. You're the daughter of a rich family, but you have to live like a maid. Hua Yanyan didn't say anything. She only looked at the bank card with a complicated expression on her face. It's actually very simple. As long as you say it, no one will pursue the matter, right? Your Hua means half-sister, and your last name is Hua. All you have to do is stand up and expose some dirt on her, and the 1 million is yours. It's that simple. Huamin will kill me. Hua Yanyan looked up and stared into Song Yisher's eyes. Ha ha ha. Kill you? What a joke. We live in a society governed by law. Who dares to kill people? Huamin is so smart that she won't. At most, she'll question you. Miss Hua, you don't seem like such a coward. What's wrong? Don't tell me you're scared out of your wits by that woman. Huamin? Song Yisher looked at Hua Yanyan with disdain. You don't seem to know how powerful Huamin is. I advise you not to make her your enemy. She's not as gentle as she looks. Hua Yanyan knew how powerful Huamin was, so she advised Song Yisher not to make an enemy out of Huamin. Yanyan, are you crazy? Do you think that just because you're afraid of Huamin, everyone else is afraid of her? Do you know what kind of person our Shishir is? She's Mayor Song's daughter, God's favored daughter. There's no one else here who's more honorable than her. How dare you advise her not to make an enemy out of Huamin? Are you kidding me? Hua Yanyan's best friend sneered. No, this has nothing to do with status. Huamin is very powerful. It's not wise for you to offend her. Enough with the nonsense. Just tell me if you want to work with me or not. Song Yisher waved the bank card in her hand. Hua Yanyan really needed the money right now, but she made the right choice. She stood up and said, I'm sorry, Miss Song. I can't work with you. You're afraid of Huamin? Song Yisher raised her eyebrows and asked rudely. You can think of it that way. Anyways, if you don't listen to me today, you'll probably regret it in the future. You're on your own. After speaking, Hua Yanyan turned around and left. Song Yisher looked at the woman beside her in exasperation. Didn't you say that Hua Yanyan was an idiot? Why did she refuse? I tried so hard to persuade her, but she didn't take the bait. I wasted so much time talking to her. Do you know her at all? Song Yisher thought that Hua Yanyan would definitely take the bait for the 1 million yuan. Then, she would be able to expose Huamin in a negative light. She wanted to take the opportunity to do something, but to her surprise, Hua Yanyan didn't take the money. What a surprise. Chapter 11:16. Yeah, she used to be so gullible. She believed everything I said. Why is she so smart now? The woman lowered her head, not daring to look into Song Yisher's eyes. What a waste of my time. After speaking, Song Yisher stood up coldly and walked out of the cafe. Hua Yanyan wandered around outside for a while, and it was already late at night by the time she returned to the Hua mansion. Her mother and brother were under house arrest by her father, but she couldn't even call the police. What a pathetic life. She could only drink to drown her sorrows. Hua Yanyan drunkenly opened the door and walked into the living room. The living room was pitch black. Just as she was about to turn on the lights, she felt a pair of hands tightly gripping her neck. Then, he suddenly forced her into a corner. Under the moonlight, she clearly saw the man's face. Who else but Hua Xiqian would dare to treat her so arrogantly in the Hua mansion? What do you want? Hua Yanyan asked with great difficulty. She was almost out of breath from being choked. What did Song Yisher say to you? Hua Xiqian's voice was unbelievably cold. Hua Yanyan trembled in fear upon hearing this. The aura he exuded was completely different from usual. It was as if he was a completely different person from the smiling man he used to be. How did you know that she was looking for me? Hu Yanyan asked in confusion. Idiot! Hurry up and answer me. I don't have the patience to talk nonsense with you. Hu Xiqian tightened his grip. Hu Yanyan felt like she was going to die at any moment. He really didn't hold back at all when it came to her. He didn't treat her like a sister at all, Song Yisher. She came to ask me for a collaboration. Hu Yanyan was extremely afraid of Hu Xiqian. Since they lived under the same roof, she knew that this demon would really kill her. She knew that no one would find out even if he threw away her corpse. Collaboration? What kind of collaboration? Seeing that Hu Yanyan had relented, Hu Xiqian suddenly let go of her. Cough, 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 cough. Hu Yanyan began coughing violently. Collaboration. She gave me 1,000,000 yuan to defame Huamin. Defame Huamin? Hu Xiqian looked up, his eyes darkening. Yes, she told me to make up whatever I wanted and that no one would look into the authenticity of the story, as long as I didn't ruin Huamian's image. But I didn't agree. I really didn't take her money. Hu Yanyan timidly looked into Hu Xiqian's eyes, afraid that he would strangle her again. This woman is really... She doesn't want to live a good life, but she wants to court death. Hu Xiqian said in a low voice as he took out a wet towel and wiped the hand that was strangling Hu Yanyan's neck. I really didn't agree. I won't hurt Huamin. She helped me twice and I owe her a lot. I won't do that, trust me. I know you wouldn't dare. Get out. After Hu Xiqian yelled at her, Hu Yanyan was so scared that she peed her pants and ran upstairs. She stayed in this house all day and had to listen to Jiang Hong. Hu Xiqian didn't like her, and she was threatened by Hu Xiqian. Hu Yanyan was under a lot of stress. She really wanted to find a random man and marry him so that she could leave this terrifying house. After Huamin got off work, he called Qin Chu. He seemed to be busy. Therefore, he drove to Aixian's ramen across from Second High and ordered 2 bowls of noodles. Then, he drove to GK headquarters. A young lady, Yang nodded politely. Is he inside? Yeah, the president is in a video conference. Oh? Then I'll go in later. It's okay. The president said you can go in as soon as you arrive. Huamin carefully carried the 2 bowls of noodles, opened the door, and walked in. Qin Chu was scolding his subordinates. The people in charge of the subsidiary companies all lowered their heads and didn't dare to make a sound. Redo the proposal before Friday. If it doesn't go well this time, you guys can all go home and retire. Yes, President. Qin Chu coldly hung up the phone. Then he glanced at Huamin, who was standing at the door. His cold expression immediately softened, and his eyes became gentle. Mian, come here. Qin Chu gestured with his finger. Ever since they got married, Qin Chu mostly called her honey and rarely called her Mian. Every time he called her Mian, it meant that he was up to something. Therefore, Huamin cautiously walked towards him. Chapter 11:17. Mr. Qin, are you plotting something? Huamin pursed her lips and smiled at Qin Chu. Is that how you think of your husband? Qin Chu raised his eyebrows and asked. Ha! It's not that I think of you that way, but you do have a criminal record. Okay? Every time you call me that, I know it's not something good. Huamin learned to be smart and didn't jump into her husband's trap so easily. Let me show you something, Qin Chu said as he took out a document from his drawer and placed it on the table. Huamin picked it up and flipped through it, and immediately smiled. Do you want to go? Qin Chu asked. Yeah. Huamin nodded shyly. It turned out that this was an invitation from their alma mater, Second High School. They were invited to return to their alma mater on Saturday to experience life. Recently, the school was holding a Back to 17 event. Many successful people from their alma mater had returned to school to experience life. As a young entrepreneur, Qin Chu was ranked at the top of the list. He had always been a popular figure in Second High, and many of the juniors in the school were talking about their school stories. Therefore, Huamin was very happy to have this opportunity. Out of all of her studies, high school was the most important to her. It was where she and Qin Chu first started. I didn't think that our alma mater would have such a humane event, Huamin said intimately as she wrapped her arms around Qin Chu's neck. I knew you'd like it. When I went to buy ramen, I was thinking about how great it would be if I could turn back time. I would definitely cherish those 3 hurried and beautiful years. Honey, I'm hungry, Qin Chu suddenly said pitifully. Oh right, I forgot. Here, I brought some ramen for you to eat. Then, Huamin reached out to open the bag of ramen on the table. However, Qin Chu began to move his hands up and down her body. Huh? What are you doing? Huamin immediately turned his head. I'm really hungry. I need to eat this before I can eat that. Qin Chu's words were very meaningful. What are you talking about? Let me tell you, eat your food properly and don't think about anything else. This is the president's office. Huamin reminded her with a smile. What are you afraid of? I'm the president, and this is my office. After speaking, Qin Chu pressed Huamin down and kissed her passionately. Indeed, he had eaten her food before he ate. Of course, he didn't really eat it. He just wanted to let Qin Chu have a little fun. As for the rest, he had to go home and deal with it. The two of them sat face to face as they ate Arexian's ramen. In the middle was a small plate of pickled vegetables given by the boss. The food looked ordinary, but the two of them ate with relish. Honey, when we get married, can we open a noodle restaurant too? Just like the boss and his wife of Arexian's ramen, we can open a noodle restaurant near a school and watch the kids go to and from school every day. It'll be a happy experience, right? Huamin fantasized as he ate. Wouldn't that be a waste? Qin Chu smiled. Waste what? Huamin didn't understand what he meant. A waste of resources. We're both doctors, Qin Chu reminded him. Only then did Huamin realize, haha. A doctor who doesn't want to face the boss of a noodle restaurant isn't a good doctor. Huamin smiled brightly. Qin Chu picked up a tissue and gently wiped the oil off the corner of her mouth. His movements were very gentle. Perhaps, Qin Chu was only so patient with Huamin. No matter how busy he was, how tired he was, or how frustrated he was, he never took it out on her. After eating, Qin Chu continued to work overtime while Huamin quietly sat on the sofa with a book in his hand. After working for a while, Qin Chu tilted his head and looked at Huamin as if he couldn't get enough of him. Then, he playfully rolled up a tissue and threw it at Huamin. It hit Huamin right on the head. Chapter 11:18. Hey, Mr. Qin, don't be like this. Are you trying to flirt with me? Huamin complained with a smile. You're so engrossed in the book that you're ignoring me. Qin Chu was implying that if Huamin didn't look at him, he would be unhappy. Ha! I've been quietly accompanying you. You're too bossy. How about I switch to another book? I'll put down this collection of essays and read President Qin's biography instead. What do you think? Huamin asked with a smile. That's a good idea. Qin Chu nodded proudly. You think too highly of yourself. Time passed quickly as the two chatted and laughed. In the blink of an eye, it was almost 8 o'clock. After Qin Chu finished his last document, he turned off his computer and stood up. Then, he walked over. He directly pressed down on Huamin with his entire body weight. Immediately, Huamin fell onto the sofa. Do you want to crush me? Huamin struggled to ask. Mr. Qin didn't look fat, but why did it feel so heavy when he was on top of her? It was like the weight of a mountain. How about, you press on top of me? After speaking, Qin Chu flipped over and hugged Huamin. Then, he laid down on top of her. Their eyes met, and their gazes were filled with love. Just then, the office door suddenly opened. President Qin, can we get off work now? Assistant Yang didn't even finish her sentence before she immediately closed the door and left. She didn't want her bonus to be deducted for interrupting the president's business. Right? Huh? But, so the president likes a woman on top and a man on the bottom. Haha. Who knew that the usually gentle a young lady would be so tough? It's all your fault. Assistant Yang saw it, right? So embarrassing. Huamin covered her eyes with her small hands. She was too ashamed to face anyone. Obviously, nothing had happened, but this posture was too thought-provoking. Anyone who saw it would think the wrong thing, right? It's over, it's over. There must be a misunderstanding now. I can't explain it clearly even if I'm in the right. Huamin kept saying that there was a misunderstanding. Qin Chu was below her, his hands nimbly reaching into her sweater. Since he's misunderstood, let's just confirm the charges. After saying that, without waiting for Huamin to resist, he fell into the gentle web of love woven by Qin Chu. By the time the two of them left the president's office, it was already 9:00 for an entire hour. Huamin felt like his face was burning as he recalled the scene just now. The sofa is too hard. I'll get someone to replace it tomorrow, Qin Chu muttered to himself. Huamin lowered his head even more. Qin Chu held her hand and they went home together. When they arrived at South Hill Manor, they realized that Lady Qin was there. Mom, it's so late. Why are you here? Qin Chu asked faintly. Huamin nodded. She didn't know what to say. After all, her relationship with Lady Qin was a bit awkward. She couldn't be like Song Yisher, calling her sweetly to make people like her. That wasn't Huamin's style of doing things either. Lady Qin scanned their faces and slowly said, Today, your dad and I went to Prajna Temple. Everyone says that the bodhisattva there is very effective, so I invited a child-giving guanyin for you guys. Huamin and Qin Chu turned their heads and saw that there was indeed a Buddhist shrine in the corner of the living room. Inside was a 70-80 centimeter tall white jade guanyin holding a cute baby. Seemed like this was the most famous child-giving guanyin. Mom, what are you doing? You should know that we don't believe in these things. Also, it's not up to the bodhisattva to decide whether or not we have children. It's up to us. Genes and chromosomes, do you understand? Qin Chu seemed a bit unhappy. Chapter 11:19. He was an atheist, so he didn't believe in anything that couldn't be explained by science. He also didn't believe in gods. In his own words, he only believed in himself. Huamin was more interested in religious beliefs, so she didn't say anything. Instead, she quietly looked at the Buddha statue. Don't worry, your dad and I want you to have children soon. So we invited one over. You don't believe in Buddhism, so you don't have to abstain from meat or pray to Buddha. You don't have to make offerings every day. On the 1st and 15th day of the lunar month, ask the servants to put some fruits on the table. You can just light some incense. Qin Chu was just about to ask his mother to take it away. But Huamin said, Thank you. Qin Chu looked at Huamin in surprise. She actually accepted the gift and even expressed her gratitude to his mother. Lady Qin seemed to be in a good mood as she nodded. Then, Qin Chu went upstairs to take a shower. Huamin sat with Lady Qin in the living room for a while. They used to be rivals, so they rarely had the chance to sit together and chat. So, the atmosphere was quite awkward at first. The hospital has been busy lately, right? Lady Qin asked. Yeah, it's the end of the year, so it's a little busy. You're not a nurse anymore, so you don't have to work night shifts anymore. Also, I heard that neurology doctors don't have to work day and night shifts like gynecologists do, right? Yes, Huamin continued to nod. Work is important, but so is family. I hope you can pay more attention to Chu and your family when you're free. I will. Since you two are fated to be together, I naturally want you to be happy. Although I wasn't happy with you in the past, so many things have happened, and I've seen through a lot. I hope you won't hold a grudge against me because of the past. Lady Qin spoke very calmly. Huamian listened quietly. She knew that Mrs. Qin was referring to Uncle Jing's death when she mentioned the old grudge. If it was in the past, Huamin might have felt estranged. After all, it was a human life and Uncle Jing treated her so well. However, some things that happened later changed her view of him. In particular, Huamin had a bold speculation that his family background might be closely related to Uncle Jing. Uncle Jing's death might not have been caused by the Qin family. Perhaps someone was using the Qin family behind the scenes. She might be the one who killed Uncle Jing, because all the witnesses who knew about her identity back then were either dead or missing. Even the information had been completely destroyed. How could this be a coincidence? Huamin planned to ask Lady Qin about the ins and outs of the past when he had the time, but not now. After all, now was not the right time. The relationship between the two of them had just improved. If they kept asking about that matter, it wouldn't be good for either of them. Huamin thought about a lot of things better than the average person. Although she was only 24 years old, the things that she did and the things that she said were sometimes better than people in their 40s. It was as if she was born with a calm and steady aura. This aura was something that other girls her age didn't have. Back then, it was because of this unique aura that Qin Chu was infatuated with her and couldn't extricate himself from her. Don't worry, since I'm married to Qin Chu, I won't dwell on the past. However, I hope that you won't misunderstand me because of a few words from other people, especially those who have bad intentions, Huamin replied calmly. Huamin was also very straightforward. She directly targeted Song Yishe. Chapter 11:20. Emichim, from now on, I'll investigate everything carefully. I won't be used like before. After speaking, Lady Qin looked at her watch. It's getting late, you guys should get some rest. I'm going to go now. Okay, bye. After seeing Lady Qin off, Huamin went upstairs to take a shower and then went to bed with Qin Chu. My mom is superstitious. Don't mind her. Qin Chu turned his head and explained to Huamin. That's good. Maybe Bodhisattva really will come to our house and give us a baby. You believe in superstitions? Qin Chu was slightly surprised. Sometimes, I have to believe in superstitions. Huamin smiled helplessly. She also wanted to have a child, but she had no other choice. So, wasn't it a last resort to pin her hopes on the gods? Heartbroken, Qin Chu hugged Huamin from behind. Don't be sad, we'll have a baby. She or he might be on their way here. The next morning, Qin Chu left Sea City on a private plane at 5 a.m. because he had to go on a business trip. Huamin drove to work alone, but he felt like he was being followed the entire way. However, when he turned around, he couldn't find any clues. It was a strange feeling. Huamin frowned as he slowly drove off the highway. Not far behind him, a woman's voice came from a black Hummer. Okay, stop following her. She's very smart. If you keep following her, she'll find out. Yes, boss. Several men in black nodded in response. When Huamin arrived at the hospital, he was still in a daze. Chief Hua, this is the main topic of today's morning meeting. Please follow this explanation. Assistant Chen Jie handed him a document. Chief, Chen Jie whispered again. Only then did Huamin come back to his senses. MHM? What did you just say? Huamin turned around to look at Chen Jie. I said, this is the summary of the morning meeting that I've prepared for you. You must just follow this explanation. Oh, okay. Huamin reached out to take the folder, but he was still absent-minded. Director, is there something wrong? No. If you're busy, I can go to the meeting for you. You look so distracted. Chen Jie rarely saw Huamin like this, so she couldn't help but worry. I'm fine. You can go back to work. Yes. After the morning meeting, Huamin walked out of the conference room and passed through the outpatient hall on the first floor before he could take the elevator to his office floor. At this moment, the same feeling appeared again. It was as if she felt someone staring at her, but she didn't know who that person was. She looked around in a panic and saw doctors, nurses, and patients coming and going. She couldn't tell them apart. He only felt a splitting headache. Why is this happening? It's so strange. Huamin muttered to herself and then hurriedly got into the elevator. The moment she turned around and entered the elevator, a female doctor in the corridor on the second floor took off her mask and smiled at her back. After finishing his morning work, Huamin looked at his watch and saw that it was almost lunchtime. He took out his phone and sent Jiang Xiaowei a WeChat message. Slightly, what are you doing? Sunbathing and eating fruit. You didn't go to work today? No, there's nothing going on at the station. Wei Liao didn't let me go, so I'm on half vacation. If there's nothing special, I don't have to go. What's wrong? Do you need something from me? Jiang Xiaowei immediately asked when she heard Huamin's strange tone. Wei, I think I'm being followed. Followed? Jiang Xiaowei was also surprised. Chapter 11:21. Yes, But I'm not sure, because I haven't found any clues or evidence yet. Then how did you know you were being followed? Jiang Xiaowei asked again. I had a feeling, a very strong feeling. Ever since I drove out this morning, on the way to the hospital after the meeting, I felt a pair of eyes watching me, but I didn't know where she was. It was a very scary feeling. Panicked, Huamin said anxiously. Jiang Xiaowei was a psychologist, so she hoped that she could help her analyze the situation and find out what was going on. After the kidnapping incident last time, Huamin had always been on high alert, constantly observing his surroundings and people. If you have this feeling, then it's probably not an illusion. You didn't look around for suspicious people or vehicles and record them, Jiang Xiaowei reminded him. No, it's just that it's very scary. I can't find anyone suspicious at all, as if everything was just an illusion. Ah, could it really be an illusion? You've been under a lot of pressure recently. In fact, if you're too busy and tired, you'll have different types of hallucinations, such as auditory and visual hallucinations. No, I've been under more pressure than this before, but I didn't have this feeling. Do you know? This is a strong new feeling. It seems to be very close to me, but I can't see or touch it. It's an indescribable feeling. Huamin didn't seem to be able to describe that subtle feeling. Huh? That's strange. But since you have this feeling, I suggest you be careful and don't let anything happen to you. You're the director of Southside and a young lady of the Qin family, so it's inevitable that people will have other thoughts about you. Machem, I'll be careful. Huamin nodded. After chatting with Jiang Xiaowei for a while, Huamin felt much better. Then, he called Jixin on an international long-distance call, and Huamin went back to work. In the afternoon, after visiting a patient, he went downstairs for a walk. It was said that a pregnant woman in the obstetrics and gynecology department on the second floor had given birth to triplets. They were all girls, so everyone in the hospital went over to join in the fun. Huamin wasn't a person who liked to join in the fun, but he liked the baby so much that he couldn't help going down. Obstetrics and Gynecology Entrance, Department Director Huamin. A few obstetricians and gynecologists nodded and greeted him when they saw him. They all respected Huamin very much. Perhaps it could be said that if it weren't for Huamin's bold suggestions of reorganization, they wouldn't have been able to survive. The South Side shouldn't be this strong. It might even surpass the first hospital. If it weren't for Huamin, Southside would still be a medical center known for its obscenity. It wouldn't be a hospital at all. The pregnant woman had a C-section, right? Is she full term? Huamin leaned against the glass of the ICU and looked at the 3 cute babies in the incubators with a gentle gaze. No, there are so many babies. How can she last until full term? She's only 35 weeks old. The pregnant woman also has high blood pressure during pregnancy. She won't make it, one of the doctors replied. The babies are healthy, right? They're just a bit small. One of them only weighs about 2 pounds, but they're very healthy. They're very strong. The obstetrician and gynecologist smiled. We're so lucky. 3 little princesses. Huamin couldn't be more envious. He leaned against the glass and looked at the 3 babies. His eyes were filled with the radiance of motherly love. Department Director Hua, you're lucky. Maybe you'll have multiple births in the future. One of the doctors smiled and gave him her blessing. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.